Sveiki gyvi, susirinkę Panevėžyje.
Hello, everybody gathered
Labai
here
prašau
today
visų
in
dėmesio.
Panevėžys. So, attention, please.
Jūsų laukia staigmena.
A surprise awaits you.
Sveiki, aš esu Vaida.
Hello,
Aš
my
kalbu
name is
gestų
Vaida.
kalba,
I'm talking
kurią
in
galbūt kai kas
sign
iš
language.
jūsų žino,
Some of you might
tačiau
know it,
didžioji dauguma ne.
but majority don't.
Šiuo metu jūs
Currently,
stebite mane,
now
bandote
you are
suprasti, ką aš
observing
kalbu.
me, trying to
Iš
understand
mano
what
veido
I'm saying.
išraiškos,
From
rankų
my
judesių. Matote
facial
mane ir
expressions
mandagiai
and
laukiate,
movements,
kada
you seeing
prasidės
me
vertimas.
and politely waiting
Vertimas
for
į jums
translation to
žinomą
start
ir suprantamą kalbą.
to a language you know and understand.
Vertimas bėgant
Translation.
laikui, jūs imate
As the
svarstyti, kad
time
galbūt
comes,
vertėjas
goes,
vėluoja.
you start thinking maybe
Galbūt
the
renginio
interpreter is
organizatoriai
on hold,
nepastebėjo,
maybe the organizers
kad
didn't
jos ar jo
notice
dar nėra,
that she or he is not here yet,
bet jūs
but
nekeliate klausimo,
but you're not raising a
ar tas
question.
vertėjas apskritai ateis.
Will that
Nors
interpreter
gal
come
kiek
at all?
kebliai jaučiatės, bet
Although
žinote, kad šis
feel slightly
nesusipratimas
awkward
kažkaip
because
išsispręs.
you feel that
Galbūt
this
bus šmaikščiai
awkward
atsiprašyta
moment will resolve
dėl
somehow. Maybe
susiklosčiusios
there will be some
situacijos,
apology
arba vis
for the
tik tuoj
situation in
pasirodys
a
tas
funny way,
taip reikalingas
or maybe the
vertėjas.
interpreter will
Tačiau
finally show up.
greičiausiai net nekeliate
So needed.
klausimo,
But
kad galbūt
you
problema
don't raise
yra
the
tai,
question, most probably,
jog jūs
that the
nemokate
problem
gestų
is
kalbos.
that you don't know the sign language.
Įsivaizduokite,
Imagine
kad esate penktokas ar
you
trečiokė,
are a 5th
kurie
grader
taip pat
or
žiūri į
3rd grader
mokytoją ir
who
jaučiasi
look at the
taip,
teacher the
kaip
same
jūs
way
dabar.
and they feel the
Galbūt jie
same
negali
way
judėti
you feel
kojomis,
now. Maybe
galbūt
they
jiem
cannot
raidės ir
move
skaičiai
on their
susipainioja
legs.
vietomis, o
Maybe
galbūt
letters
jie
and
visai kitaip
numbers get
supranta
mixed for
juos
them, or
supantį
maybe they
pasaulį.
understand completely differently
Galbūt
the
jų
world around
viduje
them.
yra daug
Maybe
jausmų,
within them there are
bet
so
vienas
many
dalykas,
feelings.
kuris
But one
juos
thing
visus sieja,
which
kad jie
unites
bando
all of
suprasti
them, that they
lygiai taip
try to
pat,
understand
kaip
as
jūs
hard
dabar
as
mane.
you do now, as you try to
Tad jūsų
understand
ir
me.
mano atveju
So in
mūsų
your case and in
negalėjimas
my
susikalbėti
case,
šiuo
our
metu
inability
yra barjeras,
to talk
kurį
today and
panaikintų
now
atėjęs
is a
vertėjas.
barrier which would be
Labai linkiu,
removed by the
kad vaikai
interpreter
visoje Lietuvoje ir
if they
jos
were there.
mokyklose
So I
galėtų
really
jaustis
believe that
kaip jūs dabar.
children
Žinoti, kad iš mūsų
could feel in Lithuanian
nesusikalbėjimas
schools
yra
like you
lengvai
do now,
sprendžiamas
and
pašalinus
they would
barjerus.
understand that if the
Tikiuosi,
barrier is
kad
removed,
vieni
this
kitiems galime
misunderstanding
tapti
can be
ne tik
easily
mokytojais ir
overcome.
mokiniais,
So
bet
we
ir
can
tais, kurie padeda pašalinti kliūtis
trust
ir
in not
pagaliau
only in teachers and
susikalbėti.
students and those who
Gražios
remove the
jums
barriers
dienos.
and allow us to finally hear and understand each other. So have a nice day.
Tikriausiai nustebino. Ir
Probably
turbūt
we
nesate buvę
surprised
nė
you,
vienoje
and
konferencijoje,
you've never been in
kurioje
a conference
pradžia būtų
where
padaryta gestų
the
kalba.
beginning would be done in
Aš
sign
labai linkiu,
language.
kad šiandien mes
I really wish
susikalbėtumėm ir kad virš
For
visko
us
būtų
to be
svarbiausia
able
meilė.
to
Nes kai yra meilės,
understand each
tai tada
other
ir daug
and to
lengviau
have
susikalbėti ir vienas kitą
love.
išgirsti ir pamatyti.
Because when there is love, it's easier
Šiandien
to
aš
see
jūs
and hear each other.
vedžiosiu
Today
tarp
I'll be
pokalbių,
guiding you
tarp
through the
pasidalinimų,
conversations,
tarp patirčių.
sharing
Mano vardas Viktorija
experiences.
Urbonaitė
My
ir man
name is
didelė garbė
Viktorija
šiandien stovėti ant
Urbonaitė,
šitos scenos.
and it's a great
Jūs
honor to
aplinkui
stand on the
matote
stage today. You
instaliacijas.
see
Per pertrauką būtinai
installations around you,
pasivaikščiokite po
so
Stasio muziejų
definitely use your
ir
break
pamatysite
to
dar daugiau
walk
dalykų.
around the
Antrame
Stasys
aukšte laukia
Museum. You'll
šitos
see even more
instaliacijos
things.
tęsinys.
There will be
O kadangi
continuation of this
Vaida Lukošiūtė
installation on the
pradėjo
second
mūsų
floor.
renginį, tai
And
tegul
as
jisai
Vaida
būna ir
Lukošiūtė
oficialiai
started
atidarytas. Ir šita
this
konferencija
event and let it be
tiesiog
officially opened,
įjungiam tą
and
savo
this
vidinę šventės
conference,
nuotaiką.
let's switch on our
Pradedam.
festive mood. Let's start.
Dabar į sceną
Now,
kviesiu
I'll
švietimo,
invite
mokslo
on
ir
the
sporto
stage
ministrę
the
Ramintą
Minister of
Popovienę.
Education, Science and
Prašau
Sport,
jūsų žodžio.
Raminta Popovienė. Oh. Dear Minister, floor is yours.
Gerbiama merė, gerbiami Seimo
Dear
nariai,
Mayor, dear
mėly
members of
mokyklų vadovai,
Seimas and
mokytojai,
Parliament, dear
moksleiviai,
heads of
šio
schools
projekto
and
koordinatoriai.
teachers, students,
džiaugiuosi
coordinators
šiandien,
of this
kad
project.
kartu
I'm
esu
really
su
happy
jumis
that I'm
konferencijai,
here
kuri
with you
apibendrina
today in a conference which
gražaus darbo rezultatus.
sums
Ir
up
esame
the
šiandien
results of
tikrai
beautiful
nuostabioje
work.
vietoje.
And we are in a
Panevėžyje,
wonderful place
vietoje,
today in
kur
Panevėžys,
susipina
in a place
labai
which
daug įvairių
connects
sričių.
many
Ir matyti
different
šitą vietą ir
areas.
šitas
And
muziejus
this place, this
negimė taip
museum,
paprastai. Aš jau girdėjau tas
probably
istorijas.
didn't come to life
Tai
so easily.
pirmiausia
I've
gimė
heard those
idėja,
stories.
kurią suvienijo labai
First,
daug
the
žmonių
idea
turinčių
came, which
taip pat
united many
įvairias
people
įgyvendinimo
with
idėjas, labai
different
gražius
ideas how to
norus, labai
implement it,
gražius tikslus. Ir štai
nice
ta idėja
wishes
virto
and goals. And this
nuostabia
idea
vieta,
then
kur
turned into a
galima
wonderful place
pasisemti
where we
ir
can
mokslo, ir
get
žinių, ir meno,
science,
ir
knowledge,
kultūros.
art,
Ir
and
tai yra labai
culture.
svarbu.
And that is very
Bet šiandien
important.
grįžtant prie
So
šio
today,
renginio
going
idėjos,
back
prie
to the idea
tūkstantmečio
of
mokyklos
this
programos pristatymo,
event,
rezultatų apibendrinimo,
presentation of the
nuoširdžiai noriu
results of
pasidžiaugti,
the Millennium
kad
Schools
šis
program,
projektas,
I
nors
want
ir
to
kalbėdamas su
say how
daugeliu iš
happy I
jūsų
am
čia
that
esančių,
this project,
girdėjau, kad taip jisai galbūt
although
buvo
I
labai
heard
trumpas
from
laike,
many
jis
of
reikalavo
you
labai
that it was
daug,
too short, it required
laiko,
lots of
resursų,
time
galbūt
and
greitų
resources,
įgyvendinimo
maybe
sprendimų,
quick
bet šis
implementation
projektas davė tikrai
decisions,
labai
but
teigiamų
this
rezultatų.
project gave
Rezultatų
lots of positive
kokybės
results
link,
in
ugdymo
terms of
kokybės gerinimo link.
quality
Ir davė
improvement,
rezultatų,
towards
iš
improvement
tiesų,
of
tose srityse,
education
kuriuose
quality,
mes
and gave
galbūt
results in
jautėme
the
silpnesni
areas
ir kur
where
turėjome
we
iš tiesų
felt maybe
padirbėti tą linkme.
weaker and
Tai
we had to
pirmiausia,
work
šiandien Vaida labai
on
gražiai
them.
su mumis
And
pasisveikino.
Vaida
Dėka to,
made a
kad labai daug
nice
metų bendrauju su
introduction and
kurčiųjų
greeting.
bendruomenė, taip pat moku pasisveikinti gestų
I
kalba ir labai gražiai
I know the
padėkoti
sign
visiems.
language and
Ir
I
žinote,
can thank
tikrai, Vaida,
all of
labai labai ačiū.
you.
Įtrauktis
So
yra labai
really,
svarbi mūsų
Vaida, thank you
gyvenime.
very much.
Ir tik tai taip,
Inclusion is
kaip
very
jūs šiandien
important in
pradėjote
our lives,
konferenciją, mes visi
and how
galime
you
suprasti,
started
kaip tai
this
yra svarbu.
conference, we can
Nes
understand
prieš,
how important it is.
nežinau, gal
Because
2019 ar 2018
maybe in
metais,
2019
būdama
or
Seimo narė,
18, when I was
teko man
member of the
vadovauti
parliament,
darbo grupei ir
I
teikti
was
įstatymo
heading
projektą,
the
kurio
work group
pagrindu šiandien
and
mes matome
give a
televizijose gestų
draft
kalbos
for
vertėjus,
law,
ypač
and
mūsų
we were
visuomeninio
using the sign
transliuotojo
language
televizijoje.
interpreters,
Ir aš labai džiaugiuosi.
especially
Mūsų
in our
darbo
public
grupės
broadcaster,
rezultatas
in
kartu
the
ir su
TV,
televizija ir
and
kartu su įvairiais
the
specialistais
result
davė
of our
tikrai
work
šiandien labai
with
gražų rezultatą.
television
Mes matom
and
gestų
different
kalbą,
specialists
verčiančias
gave
įvairias
wonderful
laidas, ypač
results.
laidas
We see
vaikams. Mes
sign
matome šiandien šalia
interpreters
prezidento
who
gestų kalbos
are
vertėją ir
interpreting
šalia
different programs and
įvairiuose renginiuose. Bet žinote, kai
films,
reikėjo
and
teikti
they
įstatymo
participate in
projektą,
different events. But when that
pagrindinis
draft
mano
law had to
sakinys
be
buvo
presented, my
Seimo
main
salėje,
sentence was in
kad
the
įsijunkite
Parliament Hall,
televizorių
like,
ir
please turn
išjunkite
on your
garsą.
TV and
Ir
switch
žiūrėkite
off the sound
televizijos
and
laidą.
just
Ir
watch
tada mes visi
the
suprasime, kaip
TV
jaučiasi žmogus
program.
turintis
And
klausos negalią,
thus we will
arba
understand
turintis
how
žmogus netgi
people
ir
with
regos negalią, kuriam taip pat
hearing
reikia pritaikyti
disabilities
televizijos
or
laidas.
vision
Ir tuo metu
disabilities,
aš pati
how they
tikrai
feel.
nežinojau, nes man neteko
And I
susidurti
didn't know
kad
that at that
regos
time
negalią
because
turinčiam
I
asmeniui
didn't come
reikia
across
pritaikyti
yet that
televizijos laidas.
even the
Tai vat tie
peop
žingsniai,
blind
vėliau ir
people, they
bendraujant,
need
dirbant
TV
kartu,
programs
tikrai
adapted for
leidžia
them.
suvokti,
And those
kad
steps
vis dėlto
of
suprasti šalia
cooperation
esantį
allowed
žmogų
us to
yra labai
understand
svarbu.
that
Tad ir šiame
to understand the
projekte
person next to you is
tikrai yra
very
labai
important.
svarbu tai,
And
kas
within this
pavyko
project,
kiekvienam
it's very
įgyvendinti,
important
kalbant apie įtraukti, kad
what
kiekvienas vaikas
everyone
bet
has
kurioje
succeeded to
aplinkoje,
do,
bet kurioje
talking about the
klasėje, bet kurioje
inclusion, so
vietoje
that every
jaustųsi
child in
saugus.
any class,
Žinoma,
in
kad tai
any
yra labai
place would feel
sudėtinga.
safe.
Šiame
We know
kelyje mes
it's
tik pradedame
complicated.
žengti
On this
pirmuosius
path, we
žingsnius.
are
Tačiau jeigu visi kartu tą
making
suprasime,
our first
tikrai
steps
galėsime
only. But
padaryti
if we
labai daug.
understand, all of us,
Tūkstantmečio
that we could
programa
do a
galėjo
lot. The
padėjo
Millennium
pamatus
Program
ir kalbant apie STEAM veiklas.
gave
Taip, tai taip pat
basis for the
tas
STEAM
kelias nebuvo
activities.
lengvas. Ir šiandien
That
toliau
path
kalbant apie
wasn't
tai, kad
easy
tai
as
yra
well.
tęstinės
And when
priemonės,
we
tęstinis
continue
finansavimas,
talking about that,
kurį
this
mes
is
taip pat
continued
stengiamės užtikrinti kaip
funding,
Švietimo mokslo ir
continued
sporto ministerija
measures
baigiantis
which
projektui. Tai yra
with
labai
funding
svarbu.
we are
Bet
starting
tai
to
yra,
ensure
na,
that as the
tokios
ministry.
galimybės vaikams ugdytis
But
tose
there
srityse,
are
kurios
possibilities
vėliau
for
jų
children to
gyvenimui
develop
teiks
in the
tikrai, tikrai
areas
labai
which
didelę
later in
reikšmę.
their lives will
Mes
be
šiandien kalbame
extremely
ir apie
meaningful
labai
and
svarbę sritį,
important.
kaip apie
Today
vadovų
we are talking
lyderystę.
about
Tai yra labai svarbu bendraujant
such
kiekviename
important topic
kolektyve,
as leadership
bendraujant
of the
ieškant tam tikrų
leaders
sutarimų, ieškant
in,
sprendimų. Ir
it's
šiandien
in
mes
their
matome mūsų
communities
švietimo
and
sistemoje
looking
tikrai
for
yra labai daug
solutions.
skaudulių. Bet aš
And
visada
we have
kviečiu, kad pirmiausia
many
mes turime
painful
kalbėtis. Pirmiausia, mes
areas
turime
in
ieškoti
our
tų sprendimų
community.
čia,
We have to talk,
ateinant
first of
pas
all. We
vadovą,
have to
ateinant
look
pas tuos
for
žmones, kurie priema
solutions
sprendimus
when we
ir
go
rasti
to
tuos
the
sprendimus. Ir tik tai vėliau mes
leaders
turime, na, ir
who
išreikšti
make
galbūt
the
savo,
decisions, and we
savo
have to find
tam
those
tikras
decisions
mintis ir
and
siekius kitom
to
priemonėm. Tad
express
vadovų
our
lyderystė
thoughts and
ir
ideas in
paskatinimas
different
ir
ways. So
siekis
the
tų sprendimų
leadership of
ieškoti yra
the
tikrai labai svarbus ir
leaders teachers
Ši
and the
programa, aš manau, leido
striving to
tikrai
seek
įgyti
those
toje srityje
solutions
nemažai
is
žinių.
very important, and this program
Dar viena
allowed us to
sritis,
get a
kuri,
lot of
aš manau,
knowledge in
tikrai
this.
irgi labai
Another
svarbi,
area
kai
which I
apima
think
šitą
is very
programą, tai yra
important within this
kultūrinė
program
įvairovė, kultūrinės
is the
edukacijos, tai yra
cultural
bendradarbiavimas tarp
diversity,
švietimo
cultural
ir kultūros
education
srityje.
events,
Tai yra tam tikros veiklos, tai yra
cooperation in the
galimybė
area of
moksleiviams
culture.
taip pat
These are
įgyti tam
measures
tikrų
which
žinių,
allow students to get
patirti,
certain
dalyvauti,
knowledge, to
suprasti.
experience,
Ir
to
tolimesnės
participate
veiklos čia
and to
yra taip pat
understand.
labai
And
svarbios.
those ongoing
Kažkiek teko
activities
dirbant
are
savivaldoje ir pačiai
also very
prisidėti prie
important.
šitos programos
I used to
įgyvendinimo.
work in
Ir tikrai supratau,
municipality
kad kaip yra
and I
svarbu, kad
contributed
šioje
to this
programoje
program,
dalyvaujant
and I
galėjo
understood that
dalyvauti
within
ir
this
kelios
program
savivaldybės, kad tai buvo
several
gražus, tamprus
municipalities could
bendradarbiavimas
take
tarp
part in it,
savivaldybių.
and it was
Ir
a
tai
very
buvo
nice
kelias,
close
kuris leido
cooperation between those
savivaldybėm
municipalities, and it was a
kiekvienai
path which
individualiai
allowed
prisidėti,
for each of
pasireikšti
them
tuo,
to
kuo jos
contribute
ypatingos. Viena buvo
individually
didesnė
to
savivaldybė, kita mažesnė,
express
bet
what they are
kiekviena
special
rado
about.
savo nišą tame
One was bigger, the
projekte,
others were
kaip
smaller.
galėjo
Each of them
įgyvendinti ir
found a
realizuoti
niche
savo
within this
tikslus.
project,
Tai
how
manau,
to
kad šis
implement
postūmis, šita galimybė
their
ir
own
toliau
goals.
leis
And this
dalyvauti ir kituose projektuose.
impetus,
Tai yra tikrai
this
labai
opportunity
svarbu.
will allow to
Tad
continue
šiandien
with
labiausiai
other
galbūt
projects, which is
akcentuodama
very important.
šios
So
programos
today,
svarbą,
while
noriu
emphasizing the
nuoširdžiai
importance of
padėkoti
this
visų pirma
program, I want
tikrai
to thank
savivaldybių
sincerely
vadovams,
to
ugdymo
the
įstaigų
heads of
vadovams ir labiausiai
municipalities,
jums,
heads
mieli
of
mokytojai,
educational
moksleiviai, kurie tikrai
institutions,
prisidėjote
and
prie
especially to you, dear
šios
teachers and
programos
students who
įgyvendinimo.
contributed
Tikrai žinau, kad
to the
kiekvieną projektą
implementation of this
įgyvendinti yra
program.
sudėtinga.
I really
Tiek
know it's quite
praktiškai
complicated to
veiklomis,
implement
bet tiek
any
ir
project, practically
įgyvendinant,
with activities,
atliepiant
and
įvairių
also in
ataskaitų ir kitų dokumentų
following
tvarkymo
all the
darbus.
paperwork.
Bet
But
užsispyrimas, tikslo siekimas
the
ir galbūt tas
commitment,
pagrindinis noras, kad
determination,
kiekvienas
and the
vaikas
wish that
gautų
each
geriausią
child would
kokybišką
get
išsilavinimą,
the
lėmė tai, kad
best
šiandien jūs
and
esate
high
čia
quality
ir šiandien
education
matysime tuos gražius projekto rezultatus.
resulted
Labai nuoširdžiai noriu
in the
padėkoti
fact
jums,
that all of you are here
tikrai
and we
ir šios
have
programos
wonderful
dėka,
results.
ir ne
So I
tik,
want
ir
to
jūsų
thank you
darbo dėka,
that
šiandien
thanks to
turime
this
vienintelį
program, thanks
tikslą,
to your
kad
work, we
kiekvienas
have the
vaikas
only goal
jaustųsi
so that every
visoje,
child would
kiekvienoje
feel
aplinkoje saugus,
in
kad
any
jis atrastų
environment
savo
safe,
kelią į sėkmę.
that
Ir
they
tai yra
would find
svarbiausia.
their
Tad
own
labai
path to
nuoširdžiai
success,
ačiū.
and that is
Linkiu
very
jums šiandien
important.
gražaus
So sincere
bendravimo,
thanks. I
bendradarbiavimo
wish
ir
you
produktyvaus
nice
darbo
work,
aptariant šio projekto
cooperation
rezultatus. Ačiū
today,
labai.
and productive work in
Ačiū, ministre.
discussing the results of the project. Thank you, Minister.
Turiu prisipažinti, kadangi
I must admit,
teko man dalyvauti
as
ir
I
vienam kitam renginyje
had to
jūsų
take part in
tūkstantmečio mokyklų ir
several
netgi jūsų
events of the Millennium Schools,
tikriausiai
and
jų
I
namų
was
darbai, jeigu
also
neklausėt.
hosting
Tai aš
a
nuoširdžiai
podcast
labai
as
jums
well
visiems
about the
pavydžiu.
homework.
Ir
So
pavydžiu,
I'm
kokį
really
nuostabų darbą dirbat
jealous
ir su kokiais žmonėmis tarpusavėje vienas su
because
kitu
of the wonderful
draugaujat ir
work you do,
susipažįstat ir
how
kokia ta
you
Lietuva
are
jūsų
meeting each
dėka
other,
yra. Tai
becoming
be
friends,
savivaldybių, kurios
and
įsileido šitokį didelį
how
projektą, čia nieko
what
irgi
impact you have on
nepasidarytų. Tai
Lithuania.
šiandien
And
kviečiu ir dabar
without
kviečiu
you,
ant
nothing would
scenos
have happened
Panevėžio
in this
miesto merę
project.
Loretą
So now
Masiliūnienę.
I'm inviting the mayor of Panevėžys city, Loreta Masiliūnienė.
Labą dieną, gerbiama ministrė,
Hello,
Europos komisijos
Honorable Minister,
narė, taip pat Europos
member of
socialinio
European
fondo agentūros
Commission,
direktorė,
also
šios
Director
programos
of
vadovė.
European
Malonu
Social
pasveikinti mūsų Seimo
Fund,
narius ir
head
taip
of
pat
this
visus čia
program,
esančius
members
švietimo
of our
įstaigų
Parliament
ir
Seimas,
mokytojus ir
also
vadovus.
teachers and
Man
heads
malonu
of
čia būti
educational
ir
institutions.
dėkoti už tai,
It's
kad
nice to be
turime
here and to
galimybę
thank that we
dalyvauti
have an
tokiuose
opportunity to
projektuose
take part in
ir
such
turime
projects,
galimybę
and we
susitvarkyti
have
savo
a
mokyklas,
possibility
pritaikyti jas
to
visiems mokiniams,
adapt our
suteikti
schools to
vienodas
all the
sąlygas.
students and
Mūsų
to
mieste ne 12
provide
mokyklų
equal
dalyvavo
opportunities.
projekte, tai yra
12
didelis
schools
darbas.
in our
Ir
city
ačiū
took part in
švietimo
this
skyriaus
program.
vedėjai,
That's
mūsų
huge
mokslų
work,
daktarei
so
Silvijai
thank
Sėrikolienei,
you
kuri
to
pati
our
labai daug
head of
prisidėjo
educational
prie šito
department
žinotą
who
sunkų darbą.
contributed
12
to
mokyklų,
this
kuriuose
hard
buvo
work.
įrengtos
12
gamtos
schools
laboratorijos. Ir
which
kita,
had nature labs
ačiū Jums,
installed.
ačiū Silvija Jums už tą
So
kantrybę,
thank you,
už
and thank you,
didžiulį
Sylvia,
palaikymą
for your
ir
patience, for
mokyklų
huge
direktorių,
support,
kurie
and
taip pat
also
turėjo
the
didelį
principals of
indėlį
schools
įdėti
who
į visą
made
tai, kad
a huge
projektas
contribution
virstų
to
kūnu.
the
Tai iš
success
tiesų
of
ačiū
this
labai
project.
agentūrai už
So
6
thank you,
milijonus
agency, for the
suteiktus
6
Panevėžiui,
million
didžiulę pagalbą
given to
savivaldybei. Iš tiesų
Panevėžys.
džiaugiamės
That's
ir
a huge
dėkojam.
support to
Panevėžys turi
our
ne tik tai
municipality. So
gražų
thank you
miestą,
very much.
negaliu sakyti gražiausiais
Panevėžys is a nice
miestai,
city. I
bet tikrai
cannot say
labai
it's the
gražų,
most
kompaktišką
beautiful,
miestą,
but
bet taip
it
pat
still has a
labai
beautiful
turi
and compact
stiprią,
city, and it
labai
has a very
veiklią,
strong,
nuostabią
very
švietimo
active,
bendruomenę. Aš labai
wonderful
jumis
educational
didžiuojuosi,
community.
žemai lenkiu
I'm
galvą,
really
nors beveik
proud
man
of
pagalų
you.
net nereikia
I
nusilenkti.
bow my
Tai
head
ačiū Jums labai ir tikrai
low.
dar kartą sakau ačiū
And thank you
Silvijai,
once
nes
again, and
tokį
again
milžinišką
I
darbą
say
daryti,
thank
tai
you to
gali
Sylvia
tikrai tokie
to
žmonės. O
do
visiems
such a
šventų
huge
Velykų
work
proga linkiu tikrai
requires
visiems
a lot.
mokėti
And
džiaugtis. Yra ko džiaugtis. Niekada taip
on the
gerai
occasion of
negyvenom kaip dabar.
upcoming
Lietuva nebuvo tokia
Easter,
graži, kaip
I
dabar
want to
yra
say
graži.
that
Taigi
how happy
visiems linkiu
we
pereiti
should be.
nuo tos
Lithuania was never so
kaltinimų
beautiful
kultūros
as it
prie
is now.
laiminimo. Taigi gražių
So
švenčių ir šiandien gražios
let's
dienos.
move
Ačiū.
to
Ačiū, merė.
the blessings in such occasion, and have a nice day today.
Man atrodo, mes tiesiog dabar,
think
šitas kalbų sakymas dabar yra toks
These
didžiulis vienas
welcome
kitam
remarks
padėkojimo momentas ir
is a
pasidžiaugimas.
moment of
Nes šventės
thanks
negali būti
and
be pasidžiaugimo vienas
expressing
kito.
joy,
Tai
because
dabar į sceną
celebration
kviečiu Europos
cannot be
komisijos
without
atstovybės
joy.
Lietuvoje
Now I
patarėją
invite
ekonomikos klausimais
the
Liną
economic
Vatėnaitę.
advisor, member of European Commission representation in Lithuania, that is Lina Vatėnaitė.
Labadiena, gerbiama ministrė, gerbiami Seimo nariai, gerbiama
So,
merė,
dear Minister,
gerbiami
members of
svečiai šito
Seimas,
renginio ir
Mayor,
renginio
guests
šeimininkai.
of this event, and
Jau
hosts
tikrai
of
nemažai
the event,
išgirdome labai gražių
we've
žodžių
heard
apie
quite a lot
tūkstantmečio
of
mokyklų
nice words
programą.
about the
Tikrai įvyko
Millennium School
įspūdingų dalykų
program.
ir tuos rezultatus mes
Very
turėsime
impressive things
galimybę
happened,
aptarti dar
and
detaliau
we'll
visą
be
šią
able to
dieną.
discuss in detail
Tačiau
all
vis tiek
those
norisi
results all through today. But
Dėkoti
still,
ir džiaugtis,
I
kas
want to
buvo
thank
pasiekta
and
per
thank
šiuos
and
kelis
to say
metus.
how happy I am
Bet kartu gal netgi
about what has been achieved in those
prisiminti,
few
kad
years,
tos
and also
problemos,
to remember
kurias
that those
apsiėmė
problems
spręsti
that we
savivaldybės,
decided
Lietuvos Respublikos
that were
vadovai
decided to be
ir
resolved by
sprendimų priėmėjai, jos
municipalities
nėra
and
unikalios
decision
tik
makers
Lietuvai.
and institutions
Moksleivių
of
rezultatų
Lithuania. These are not
prastėjimas,
unique for
mokytojų
Lithuania only.
trūkumas, infrastruktūros problemos, programų aktualumas,
When the results of students
netgi
get worse,
įtraukties problematikos,
also
jos nėra
problems
unikalios
of
Lietuvai. Šitos problemos
inclusion, these are not
egzistuoja ir
unique for
kitose
Lithuania.
valstybėse
They are
narėse.
existing in other
Ir
member
todėl iš
states,
naujos
and
kartos Europos,
therefore,
ar
from the
Lietuvai
new
pritaikyto
generation
naujos
Europe,
kartos Lietuvos plano tikrai buvo
or
skirtos
the
ženklios
new
lėšos
generation plan for
stiprinti
Lithuania,
švietimo
quite a
sistemas
significant funding
visoje
is
Europoje.
allocated to
Tai mes
strengthen
norime pasidžiaugti, kad
education
52
systems
milijardai, kurie
all
buvo
over
nukreipti
Europe.
į
So
reformas, ne tik
22
investicijas, bet ir
billion
reformas,
that
iš
were
kurių yra 119
dedicated to
reformų, mes
reforms,
galime
not only
pasidžiaugti jau pabaigtų,
investitions,
ir
and
229
about 100
investiciniai projektai
reforms are already
gerinantis mokymosi
completed,
sąlygas
and over
visoje
200
Europoje
investment
mūsų
projects
mokiniams ir mokytojams.
are being implemented
Sakykime,
that
investicija
improve
į
conditions
ateitį pati
for
geriausia
teachers and
yra
students.
investicija į mūsų
Investment to
žmones,
the
į mūsų
future is the
vaikus,
best.
į mokslą ir
When we invest in
investicijas.
our
Nes
people,
keičiantis
science,
mūsų ekonomikos modelį,
and
pereinant į
investment,
klimato
when
neutralią
we
klimato
are
ekonomiką
changing
ir
to
į
the new
skaitmeninimo amžių,
climate
mūsų žmonės
neutral
turi būti
economy,
pasiruošę. Mes turime ruošti,
and
kad jie turėtų įgūdžių,
switching to
žinių,
digital
kad
age,
jie turėtų
people have to
gyvenimiškos
be
patirties,
prepared so that
spręsti
they would have knowledge
pačias
and
sudėtingiausias
life
problemas,
experience
kurias
to
išgyvena
resolve the most
pasaulis, ir
difficult
ieškoti
problems
europinių
that
sprendimų toms
are
problemoms.
experienced globally, and to
Tad
look
aš
for
tik noriu
solutions.
pasidžiaugti, kad mes tikrai
I
turime
want
labai
to
gerus
say how happy I
rezultatus.
am
Aš
that we
suprantu, kad
have
šita
wonderful
programa
results,
galimai
and I
pergyvens
understand that this
naujos
program
kartos
will live
Europos, ar kitaip
longer
tariant, RRF-o gyvavimo
than
datą, kuri jau
the
baigėsi, jau programa baigėsi
date
šių
of
metų rudenį.
the
Aš girdžiu, kad yra
European program,
pasvarstymų
which ends in this
tęsti
autumn.
šitos gerus
I
darbus,
hear
toliau
some
siekti
considerations
aukštų
that
tikslų.
these beautiful,
Ir aš
nice
tik
works
noriu,
should be
žinoma, visus
continued,
palaikyti,
and
eiti
high
tuo pačiu
goals
keliu,
should be
reikalauti iš
attained.
savęs daugiau, padėti
And
vienas
I
kitam
wish all
ir
of you to
taip
follow this
investuoti
path,
į
to
mūsų
demand
Lietuvos, mūsų tautos
higher
ir
results
Europos
from
ateitį. Ačiū dar kartą
yourselves,
visiems,
and to
visiems
invest into the
prisidėjusiems
future
mokytojams,
of
savivaldybėms,
Lithuania and
ministerijoms,
entire Europe. So
Europos
thank
socialinio
you,
fondo
all the
agentūrai. Dėkoju
municipalities,
visiems labai
ministries,
nuoširdžiai ir bon
and
continuation.
the European
Dėkui.
Commission, and bonne continuation. Thank you.
O kad to džiaugsmo netrūktų ir kad galėtumėm dar vienas kitų labiau pasidžiaugti ir pasididžiuoti. Nes iš tikrųjų, man atrodo, Lietuvoje mums trūksta to didžiavimosi, tokio tiesų stuburo ir tokio gerai pavarėm. Tai čia, atsiprašau žargoną, bet kitaip supratot mane. Tai kviečiu Europos socialinio fondo agentūros direktorę, daktarę Laurą Girlevičienę ir noriu, kad ji pasakytų savo pasididžiavimo žodį.
Labadiena, gerbiama ministrė, gerbiama Panevėžio miesto merė, gerbiami svečiai, mūsų projekto partneriai, mūsų projektą administruojanti komanda. Turiu didelę garbę čia stovėti ir iš tikrųjų švęsti mūsų artėjančio projekto pabaigą. Ta pabaiga iš tikrųjų jau čia pat ir mes šiandieną galime sustoti ir pasižiūrėti, kokiegi rezultatai buvo pasiekti įgyvendinant šitą didelę programą. Ir prie programos įgyvendinimo išties prisidėjo be galo didelė komanda. Ir rezultatai, kurie buvo pasiekti ir sugeneruoti, apie kuriuos kalbėjo, minėjo miesto merė ir ministrė, jie irgi buvo pasiekti būtent visos komandos bendru darbu. Ir savivaldybių prisijungimas prie šio projekto, prie šios didelės iniciatyvos tūkstantmečio mokyklų programos, vėlgi parodo, kokia švietimo sistema yra svarbi visiems Lietuvos gyventojams, visoms savivaldybėms ir rezultatai, kurie turėtų būti pasiekti šitos programos, yra taip pat reikalingi ir naudingi Lietuvai ir kiekvienai savivaldybei. Vėlgi, pasiektais rezultatais mes matome, kaip turėjo įvykti pokytis ir aš tikiuosi, kad jis labai reikšmingai vyko. Ir investicija, kuri atkeliavo, jie pasiekė visus vaikus, nebūtinai kurioje teritorijoje jie yra ar kultūrinėje aplinkoje jie auga. Ši programa yra finansuota Europos ekonomikos gaivinimo ir atsparumo didinimo priemonė, kurios pagrindinis tikslas buvo padėti šalims narėms atsigauti po COVID pandemijos, bet būtent organizuojant tam tikras reformas. Ir tikiuosi, kad projekto rezultatai, jie taip pat įvykdė tam tikrą reformą ir dabar mes jau turime kuo pasidžiaugti, kuo pasididžiuoti. Tai kaip ir minėjau, prie projekto, prie programos įgyvendinimo išties prisidėjo labai didelė komanda. Ir tai ne tik agentūros, Europos socialinio fondo agentūros ekspertų komanda ar projekto koordinavimo komanda, bet lygiai taip pat didelis indėlis ir didelė pridėtinė vertė yra būtent iš savivaldybių darbuotojų.
From employees and representatives of municipalities and from schools representatives, and also the project was joined by more than 250 experts of inclusive education, of cultural education, who together through joint cooperation helped us to accomplish a result. And today we can stop and take a look. What have we accomplished truly and what benefit we have now? And to rejoice in that accomplishment, the project wasn't very easy. Indeed, it was of immense value, and I believe it had numerous big challenges to those who were involved in implementation of this project. But those challenges, along with ministries, with administrative institutions, they were resolved, and now we have really tangible results. So let us rejoice today and let us celebrate the end of the project. Thank you, and best of luck. Thank you.
Na ir kaip be šitų namų šeimininkų, todėl dabar į sceną kviečiu Stasio Eidrigevičiaus muziejaus direktorę Vaidą Andrijauskaitę ir, na, tiesiog sakykit savo, tą žinot, šilumos žodį.
Taip, your kind, warm
Laba diena,
words.
esu
Good
Vaida
day.
Andrijauskaitė, šito
My name is Vaida
muziejaus, Stasys
Andrijauskaitė.
Museum
I'm
vadovė.
a
Gerbiami
head or
mokytojai,
decorator
mokiniai ir
of
visi,
Stasys
kurie
Museum,
čia šiandien
dear
susirinkote.
teachers and
Iš
all
tikrųjų,
participants who
labai
gathered here
labai
today.
simboliška šį etapą
Indeed, it
užbaigti
is very
muziejuje,
symbolic
vietoje,
to finish the
kurioje
stage,
nuolat
this phase in the museum,
susitinka tai,
in
kas
a,
jau
at a
sukurta
location
ir tai, kas
where
dar tik
things
gimsta.
that are
Ir
already
šiandien
were
aš
created
jums
are
noriu
meeting with things
palinkėti
that are only
vienintelio dalyko
being born. And
nebijoti
today I want to
nežinoti,
wish you just one thing.
nes ateitis
Don't be afraid
priklauso
not to
ne
know,
tiems,
because
kurie viską
future
moka,
belongs not to
o
those who know
tiems,
and
kurie
can do
drįsta
everything, but to
bandyti,
those who
drįsta
dare to
klysti
try,
ir
who
labai
dare
greitai
to commit
mokytis iš savo
errors
klaidų.
and
Bet
learn
jeigu
quickly from their
iš šios
mistakes.
programos išsinešate ne tik
So
žinias,
from
bet
this
ir tą
program you
drąsą,
take
vadinasi,
not just
padarėte
knowledge but
patį
also courage. It
svarbiausią
means
žingsnį.
you
Tada ačiū
made the
Jums
most
ir iki
important
kitų
step.
naujų
So
pradžių.
thank you so
Ačiū.
much and see you at other new beginnings. Thanks.
Visas iškilmingas kalbas
All
baigiam ir dabar,
solemn
kadangi
speeches
žadėjau
are
Jums,
over,
kad Jūs
and
nesat
since I
buvę tokioje
promised to you
konferencijoje,
that you have
tai
been to a
užsisekit saugos
conference like
diržus,
this, now
Jūs
fasten your
nerite į antrą
seatbelts.
dalį,
You are
kurioje
diving into
prasideda
part 2,
didžiausi
in
nuotykiai.
which the biggest
Labai prašysiu
adventures
Jūsų
begin.
visų
I
didelio
will kindly
palaikymo,
ask you
tokio
all
nuoširdaus
to
susidomėjimo
show
ir išgirdimo.
support,
Todėl,
sincere
kad į
interest,
sceną
and
pradės
hearing,
vienas po kito eiti
because
moksleiviai,
now to
mokiniai,
stage, one
kurie
after another,
buvo šito
pupils,
projekto,
students
tie
will
gavėjai,
come,
kam ir
who
buvo
were
skirtas šitas
recipients,
projektas,
benefactors of
dėl
this
ko
project,
jūs
to
ir
whom this project
stengiatės
was
ir dirbot,
dedicated,
dėl ko jūs
for whom
nemiegojot,
you
dėl
put
ko
effort, for whom you
skambindavot
worked,
vienas
for whom you
kitam ir
had sleepless
sakydavot,
nights, for
nesuprantu
whom
šitų
you were
dokumentų,
calling each other
išgelbėk
and
mane,
saying,
dingo
I
kas
don't
nors,
understand these
kažkur
documents, help me,
pasiklydo.
something
Kai
went
jūs
missing, someone
galvodavot ir
got lost.
prisigalvojot dalykų,
When you were
kurie atrodo,
thinking
kad
and contriving
išsprogdino
various
smegenis.
things
Bet
which
pagalvokit,
seem to
koks
blow the
sutapimas.
brain out.
Šią
But just
naktį
think about it. What a coincidence it is.
išskrido raketa
On this
Artemis
night,
2 į Mėnulį.
missile
Mes nesam
space
tikri,
rocket
o
Artemis 2
tiksliau
went to the
esam
moon. We are
tikri,
not
kad
sure,
kažkas iš šitų žmonių, kurie
but
dabar
no, we
ateis ant
actually are
scenos,
sure that somebody
galimai
from those people
dirbs
who will come on
NASA'oj,
stage today,
o gal
possibly they will be
kokiose
working
nors dar
in
kitose
NASA
įspūdingose,
or some
ypatingose
other
vietose. Ir
impressive
gal šitie
special
žmonės
places,
irgi
and
greičiau
perhaps
negu už
these
53
people
metų irgi
sooner
išskris
than after 53
patyrinėto
years
kosmoso.
will fly
Tai
to explore
dar noriu
cosmos.
pasakyti, kad šiti
Also want to
žmonės,
say
kurie
that these
ateis ir
people
atvažiavo iš visos
who
Lietuvos, iš
will
skirtingų
come,
mokyklų,
who
gimnazijų,
came from
kurie
various
ruošiasi
schools,
tikrai nemažai
gymnasiums,
mėnesių.
who were
Didelė
getting ready for
padėka
numerous
yra
months.
Neringai
Big
Bliūdžiūtė, kuri
thanks
juos
to Neringa
ruošia.
Bliūdžiūtė,
Nes
who
visi šitie
was
žmonės, kurie
preparing
ką
them,
tik
because all
šnekėjo, labai
those
gerai gali
people who
paliudyti,
just
kad
spoke,
gera
they can
kalba
perfectly
yra
testify that
ruošiama.
good
Savaime suprantamų
speech
dalykų
takes time to
nėra.
prepare.
Taip kaip ir
There are
projektas
no things to be
savaime
taken for
neįvyko.
granted here,
Reikėjo
just like
dėti
the
pastangų.
project. It didn't
Tai
happen by itself.
Neringa yra
It demanded effort.
knygos Kalbėti gali
Neringa
visi autorė,
is
yra
author of
buvusi
a book
užsienio
called
reikalų
Everyone Can
ministro
Speak.
Lino
She
Linkevičiaus
was
patarėja,
she's
prezidentės
a
Dalios
former vice
Grybauskaitės kalbų
minister
rašytoja ir
of
taip pat
foreign
dirbo kaip
affairs,
NATO
also
viešosios
speechwriter
diplomatijos
for President
padalinio
Dalia Grybauskaitė.
komunikacijos
She worked
ekspertė.
also in NATO
Štai
public
kaip rimtai
diplomacy
ruošiasi šitie jauni
communication
žmonės.
division expert.
Tai
This is how
dabar
these young people are
pasiruoškit ir
preparing.
į
Now get
sceną
ready.
įžengia pirmasis pranešėjas
The first speaker
Matas
will come to stage,
Paviljonis,
Mr.
Trakų
Matas
Vytauto didžiojo
Paviljonis,
gimnazija. Jo
from
pranešimo
Vytautas
tema
Magnus
- jaunimo
Gymnasium
džiaugsmas
in
per
Trakai.
teatro
His speech
magiją.
is joy of youth through theater magic.
Sveiki visi.
Hello, everybody.
Aš esu Matas Paviljonis.
My name is Matas Paviljonis,
Kontekstą
and I want to
šito
show the
šuolio.
context of this jump, this leap of mine.
Gyvenime nebūčiau pagalvojęs, kad
I would
Va taip
have
būčiau
never
šokęs
thought
ant
in my life that I
Ir
would
kada
jump on
suvaidinau
stage
šitą
like this.
spektaklį,
And
nebūčiau
when I
pagalvojęs,
took
kad
part in this
prieš jus tą
play,
patį darysiu.
I never thought that I can do
Apskritai
that in
negalvojau,
front
kad
of
aš į
you all.
teatrą
And generally, I never thought I can join the theater. I had a childhood dream because my big brother, although his height is like this, he was an actor, and he is still. And the coincidence that he works in Panevėžys, maybe Panevėžys people know him. His surname is Paviljonis. And I want to present to you how to find joy for young people, how I found joy through theater, how I implemented my childhood dream, how to become an actor. And everything started from such a crucial day when I came to a rehearsal of a theater group. When I came there, these were students from 5 different schools. I didn't know anyone. So what I was to think of, and there was a smart exercise. We stood in a circle and we had to do certain movement and to say our name. At the beginning, everyone was shy. Someone would clap, someone would stomp their feet, and then my turn came. I said, Matas. And after me, there was joy, there was laughter. And not only this, other children, after they saw such an example as mine, they started doing similar things. Everyone got into that, and this is how we got to know each other. Because usually when you go to certain outside events, you stay just with your own students, your own friends. And this exercise was very nice in introduction. It motivated us to improvise. The next exercise was, I remember it very well, we had to come up with a mini play. Any subject, any topic, and from Trakai, there's this pop singer, Aleksandras Makejevas. He calls himself Trakai pop star. And you know that in his songs there are quite obscene lyrics, and that's how we came up with the crazy grandma with a rifle. And it was like a Hamilton type of tragedy. Everyone died, and other students tried to show something like us, and everyone succeeded. The teacher was frowning a little bit, but still. Yeah, there were problems with improvisation because some are afraid, some not, but most were afraid. And such problems, they seem to be minor, insignificant. But one of the main features of our project was the inclusive education. And it had almost no problems. Almost means that the problems, they were, but they were just because we couldn't distinguish that someone's fault was that. It was partly my fault and others, and what I was surprised, I have experience working with autism spectrum children, and I could see that people are avoiding them. But this time it didn't happen, and it seemed that there was no problems with inclusive education. It had only technical misunderstandings, mishaps. For example, when 5 schools came together, so 3 of them are in Trakai, but only 1 from Trakai took part in it. And then others came from Lentvaris, nearby town, and it happened that they couldn't get a bus and they couldn't come. And these were the main problems. Because of which the improvisation didn't work out. So we can compare the problem like Lentvaris doesn't get
Ir
a
su
bus
improvizacija labai
or
taip
there is no
išėjo,
microphone. And it happened with the improvisation
buvo baimė, žinoma,
that there
improvizuoti.
was
Nes
a
kada tu kažką padarai,
fear
kažkokio
to
tokio
improvise
wow,
because
labai
when you do
sunku tai
something
atkartot.
wow,
Ir
it's very
man
difficult
buvo baimė, nes iš
to
tiesų,
replicate
jau
that.
prisipažinsiu,
And I had
3
fear,
savaitės
I
prieš
must
vaidinimą
admit,
aš dar
that
nemokėjau
3
tekstų.
weeks
Toks
before
prisipažinimas.
the performance, I
Ir
didn't know the
iš tiesų
text.
aš iki
I
šios
must
dienos jo
admit.
nepamenu.
And actually, I don't remember it up to
Reikėtų iš naujo
today.
mokytis ir
I would
apskritai
need
aš
to
jo
learn
pilnai
it
neišmokau ir iš dalies
again. In general, I
improvizavau.
didn't
Ir žinoma,
learn it fully, and I
tas
improvised
vaidinimas
partly.
buvo baimė, nes
But
mes
now,
turėjom
the
kažkaip
performance.
sugalvoti savo būdą, kaip įžengti į salę.
There was a fear we had
Kažkaip
to come up with our
išsiskirti.
way,
Ir
with our
tas
entrance, which would
šuolis
be
ir buvo mano
distinguishable.
prisistatymas.
So
Kaip
my
aš
jump was my
įėjau į salę, į
introduction,
sceną.
how I got
Ir kas man buvo
on stage.
baisiausia,
And what was the
prieš tą
most
kai
scary
aš
before that
atsisėdau,
jump?
vat kaip
When I
publikoj
sat,
dabar buvau atsisėdęs, taip pat atsisėdau,
like
bet už
I
manęs
sat
sėdėjo
among
mano
the audience,
chemijos
but
mokytoja,
behind
mano
me, my
geografijos
chemistry
mokytoja
teacher, my
ir
geography
žinoma
teacher
auklėtoja
was sitting
nusprendė
behind me,
susėst.
and
Dar
class teacher
klausė,
decided
nu
to
tai ką
sit,
tu čia
and they were
vaidinsi?
asking, so what will you
Jo.
be playing?
Tai taip galvoju,
So I was
nesakysiu,
thinking, I won't tell them,
pažiūrėkit, ką aš dabar padarysiu.
just see what I will do now.
Pū. Viskas.
Pum. That's it.
Nustebinau iš tiesų visus.
I
Aš pats
did surprise
negalvojau, kad
everyone.
taip
I
galima padaryt.
didn't even think
Iš tiesų,
that's
nu,
possible.
Jeigu prieš mokinius reikėtų, tai tikriausiai taip
Actually,
nedaryčiau.
if I would have to
gal
do that in
nesijuokti.
front of the student audience,
Ir
I
taip
wouldn't
aš supratau, kad
be able to do that.
e,
This is how I
galima iš
understood
tokių
that
dalykų
it's
pasidžiaugti.
possible
Galima
to
pasijuokti,
uh,
nereikia gėdintis
laugh
dėl to,
and
dėl va
to
tokių šuolių.
feel happy
Žinoma,
about such
e,
steps, like be glad, like
tas
jumps like
džiaugsmas
this.
pas mane
And
ne
this
vieną šaltinį turi.
joy
Esu sportininkas,
has several
matėt nuotraukas
sources.
su gitara groju,
I'm involved
koncertuoju.
in sports.
Jeigu
You
pakviečia,
you saw the
toks,
photos that I play guitar. I
labai
have
turiu
concerts
kelis
occasionally.
šaltinius. Ir iš
So I
teatro
have several
supratau, kad
sources of
iš
that
tiesų kai
joy.
kurie
And
žmonės
with the
neturi tų
theater, I
šaltinių,
understood that some people
neturi iš
don't
ko
have those
galėtų
sources.
pasidžiaugti.
They
Ir
don't
aš
have
supratau per va
sources
šitą
which
projektą,
bring them joy.
kad
And
reikia
I
džiaugtis.
understood that with
Reikia rast
this
savo
project that we have
šaltinį.
to
Ir aš jį radau per teatrą.
find joy. We have to find
Tai
our
noriu
source.
dabar jūsų
And I
paklausti.
found it through the
Ar
theater.
jūs
And I
turite
want to
tai,
ask
kas užpildo
you
jūsų
now,
tuštumą,
do you have something that
kas
fills the
jums
void
teikia
in you,
džiaugsmą?
that brings joy to you? Do you have?
O dabar ir paklauskim, tegul pakelia
now
visi
let's
rankas,
ask.
ar turit, kas
Let
jums teikia
everyone
džiaugsmą.
raise
Pakelkit
your
ranką,
hands.
kas
Do you
turi
have
džiaugsmo.
something
Gerai.
that brings joy to
Prašau
you?
įsidėmėt, kas
Do you have?
nekėlė,
Good.
gerai.
So don't forget
Tai
who
jeigu kažkas
didn't raise their
nepakėlėt,
hands.
nedrįsot,
So if someone
turėjot problemų
didn't
su
rise
šuoliukais ar kažkuo, tai
or didn't
kreipėtės į
dare,
Matą.
had
Ne, Matai,
problems with
kas didžiausias
jumping,
džiaugsmas dabar
so
buvo stovint ant
talk to
scenos?
Matas. What was your biggest joy now
Nu,
while standing on the
kiekvienas
stage?
scenos.
So
Ir gali pasianonsuoti,
being
kad
on
pakviestų
stage.
su gitara.
And can you
Ai,
announce
galiu.
that they can
Nu,
invite you to
reikėtų
play
žiūrėt,
guitar?
Trakų rajone,
Yes, I
kokie
can.
koncertai vyksta,
It's,
ir yra ten Matas paviljonis.
oh,
Nes dabar tik
where people can see
ten buvo
me,
pirmas
you have
ir
to look
vienintelis mano
at
koncertas kol kas.
concerts in Trakai region. So I
Bet
had
tikiuosi,
only
kad
one
daugiau kvies,
yet,
nes labai gerai
but
atsiliepė.
I hope that I will
Tai
get more
dar kartą
invitations
paplojam
because
Matui
the
ir
reviews were very good.
daugiau
So
džiaugsmo
let's
būtų.
applaud Matas once more
Ačiū tau.
and let there be more joy.
O dabar į sceną kviesiu kitą jauną žmogų,
Now I would like to
kuriam,
invite
manau,
to
kad
stage
plosit
another young
irgi
person
nemažiau ir
with whom you will
jūsų
also
širdyje jau
applaud.
turėtų toks užsikurti varikliukas
In your
tokio
heart you
jaudulio
should
ir
already
laukimo.
start having an
Todėl, kad
engine
į sceną ateina
revving with
Biržų aušros
anxiety and
pagrindinės
excitement
mokyklos
because now stage will come
atstovas
from
Jonas
Biržos
Varanauskas ir jo
secondary school,
pranešimas matoma
Mr.
ir
Jonas
nematoma.
Ramanauskas and his presentation called Visible and Invisible.
Sveiki, aš esu
Hello,
Jonas iš
my
Biržų
name is
Aušros
Jonas
pagrindinės mokyklos.
from Biržai Aušra
Norėjau paklausti,
Secondary School. I want to ask
ar
you,
kada nors
have
jautėtės
you ever
nematomas?
felt invisible?
Tarsi parašiau jums laiškelį.
I wrote you a letter.
Ar ką matote, ar matote, kas parašyta?
Do you see what's written on it,
Turbūt ne.
on the sheet of paper? Probably not.
Kartais aš jaučiuosi nematomas kaip ir šis tekstas lape.
Sometimes I feel
Bet
invisible
kartais
just like the steps
man
on
reikia
a sheet
daugiau
of paper.
laiko
Sometimes I
suprasti.
need more time to
Kartais
comprehend.
nedrąsu pakelti ranką.
Sometimes I feel too shy to
Bet
raise a
kartais
hand,
atrodo, kad kiti
but sometimes it
supranta
seems
greičiau.
that others are quicker to comprehend.
Vieną dieną
One day,
pradėjau ieškoti,
I
kur
started
galėčiau
looking
jausis geriau. Ir
for a place
tada
where I could feel
atsirado
better.
chemija.
And then the chemistry
Ir
appeared.
ji man pasirodė ir ji man padėjo pasijausti
And it
drąsiau
helped me
pastebėtų.
to feel more brave and more
Šį rudenį
noticeable.
8
In this
klasėje
autumn,
aš
in 8th
pradėjau
grade,
mokytis
I
chemijos.
started
Viskas
studying
prasidėjo nuo
chemistry.
pirmos pamokos.
Everything started from the very
Tai
first
per
lesson.
pirmą pamoką
During the first lesson,
chemijos mokytoja aiškino
chemistry teacher explained.
tam taisyklės,
She
aiškino,
explained
kokias
the
priemonės
rules,
turėti, aiškino,
what means we should
ko
have.
galima, ko negalima daryti.
She explained do's
Aiškino,
and
kad reikėjo
don'ts.
susitvarkyti savo darbo vietą.
I know that I had to tidy up my workplace.
Kai atėjau į chemijos klasę, ji
When I
man
came
pasirodė
to
labai
chemistry
graži.
class, it
Buvo
seemed very
kolbos,
beautiful to me.
indeliai, įvairūs
There were
skysčiai.
flasks,
Norėjosi
bulbs,
viską
various
paliesti,
liquids. I wanted to
paeksperimentuoti.
touch everything, try it, experiment it.
Man chemijos pamokose man labiausiai patiko
In
eksperimentuoti.
chemistry classes, I enjoyed
Norėčiau
experimenting the
jums
most.
parodyti savo pirmą
I
eksperimentą.
want to show you my very first experiment that I conducted.
Sveiki, šiandien darysim
Hello.
eksperimentą.
Today we will perform an
Turim
experiment.
citrinos,
We have lemon,
turim čia sultams.
we have containers, we have a knife,
Būtų rašyti.
we
Lentelė.
have a mixer, we have a plate.
Pirmiausia, persipjausim citriną.
First of all, we will cut up a lemon.
Turėtų persipjauti.
I'll cut it in half.
Gerai, perpjaunam. Dabar įspausti galbūt. Nežinau,
Now I
kaip
will
kas
squeeze it
daryti.
out.
Oi. Įspaudėm sultis.
We squeezed out the juice.
Sugaminau rašalą, kaip matot.
I produced
Ir
ink,
parašysim slaptą raštą.
as you can see, and now I will write some words.
Parašom tekstus.
Writing of text.
Va, parašiau žinutę. Sužinosite žinutę, kai
I wrote a message.
greitai laiko.
You will soon see what's written in that message after a while.
Bet po truputį
And gradually,
pradėjau suprasti, kad
I
chemija nėra
started
tik
to understand,
formulas ir
to realize that
bandymai. Chemija yra
chemistry is
klausimas.
not just
Kodėl?
formulas and tests. Chemistry is question
Kodėl?
why.
Kodėl obuoliai
Why?
ruduoja?
Why
Kodėl
apples turn brown?
langai rasoja?
Why
Kodėl kyla
windows
garai iš karštos
collect
arbatos?
water? Why
Kodėl
steam
kyla
comes
putos
out
iš
from a hot tea?
gazuoto gėrimo?
Or why foam shoots from carbonated drink?
Jeigu mokate chemijos,
If you study chemistry, you can answer these questions. One of those questions I also could answer. When we open a can of Coke, gas comes out, carbon dioxide. When carbon dioxide goes out, when it's released, bubbles emerge. And when bubbles emerge, from those bubbles, foam is shaped, is formed. Moreover, what I like the most from chemistry lessons is to study periodical table of chemical elements. For example, hydrogen, helium, chlorine, oxygen, carbon. In total, there are 118 chemical elements. Oxygen, we breathe it. Carbon, it's in our body. Ferrum, iron, it's in our blood. There are elements which we can see, like gold, magnesium. There are elements which we cannot see, like hydrogen, helium. Chemistry is everywhere. For example, it's inside of a human being. Human contains oxygen, hydrogen, iron. Sugar contains carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. The candle wax reacts with oxygen. When there is no oxygen left, black smoke appears. When a candle flame turns blue, it means it's extremely hot. Now it's time to demonstrate an experiment.
Eksperimentas pavyko.
The experiment worked.
Chemija man
Chemistry
padėjo pamatyti, kad
helped
ne
me to
viskas,
see
kas svarbu,
that not
yra
everything
matoma
that
iš karto.
matters is immediately visible.
Kartais žmonės kaip
Sometimes
tekstas
people,
iš
just
pradžių
like this text,
nesimato, bet
at
tai
first it's
nereiškia,
invisible,
kad jų nėra.
but it doesn't mean that it does not exist.
Reikia tik šilumos,
All it takes is a bit of
padrąsinimo ir
warmth,
truputį
encouragement,
chemijos.
and a little bit of chemistry.
Bet taip, pirmoji chemijos pamoka
That's how
padrąsino
the
mane.
first
Linkiu
lesson in
kiekvienam
chemistry
rasti
encouraged
tai,
me. I wish
kas
every one of
padeda
you to
jaustis gerai
find
ir tapti matomu.
something that helps you to feel
Ačiū už
good
dėmesį.
and become visible. Thank you for your attention.
Ačiū. Ačiū.
Thank you.
Jonai, kaip tu
Jonas,
manai?
how do you
Galim
think?
paprašyti dabar žmonių, kad jie
Can we
pakeltų
ask the
ranką,
audience now to
kas,
raise their
kam
hands,
šiek tiek buvo ašara akyje
those
arba gerklėje.
who
Pažiūrėkime,
broke a
žmonių
tear
susigaudė.
or
Ačiū.
almost
O
cried?
juokinga buvo, kai Jonas
Was it
parodė
funny
raštelį.
when Jonas showed you this
Matai, iš
sheet
karto
of paper with
Bet
text?
man
You
atrodo,
see,
kad ten
everyone
gale
is raising
žmonės,
their
kur sėdėjo,
hands. But
nematė,
it
kas
seems to me
parašyta.
that
Ar tu gali
people at the
perskaityti, kas
end,
tam raštelį
in the
parašyta?
audience, they
Šiame
didn't see what
raštelyje
was
buvo
written on
parašyta,
this
man patinka
letter.
chemija.
It was written, I love chemistry.
Aš Jonui prisipažinau prieš pat renginį,
I
kad
confessed
aš
to
labai
Jonas
norėjau
right before
stoti
the
į
event.
mediciną, bet
I
todėl, kad
had a
neturėjau
desire to
gerų
study
chemijos
medicine, but
mokytojų,
since I didn't
tai ir
have
nestojau.
good
Ir kai aš
chemistry
jau
teachers in
suaugus
school,
moteris
I didn't
mamytei
go to study that.
priekaištavau ir sakiau, kodėl manęs
And when I
neišsiuntėt,
was an adult,
nes
I
būčiau
was
buvus gera
reproaching
chirurgė.
my
Jinai
mom,
sakė,
why didn't
tai
you
reikėjo
send me to
chemiją
study
geriau
medicine?
mokytis.
Because I could have been a good
Ir aš
surgeon. But
supratau
mom
ir
replied,
mes
you
tada
should have
susitikom su
you
Jonu ir
should have
Jonas
had
man
better
sako,
chemistry
aš jūs
grades.
pamokysiu
When I met
chemijos. Tai
Jonas,
jeigu
he
jūs
told
turite
me, I'll
tokių
teach you
pačių
chemistry.
problemų kaip ir aš,
If you have
tai
the same
Jonai
problems like I
pamokysim
do,
chemijos.
Jonas, will
Yeah.
you teach people chemistry? Sure.
Ar smagu buvo stovėti ant scenos?
Was it fun to stand on stage?
Ateisi dar kartą?
Yes. Will you come again? I'm not sure. I don't know.
Tai dar kartą paplojam Jonui.
Once
Ačiū
more,
tau.
give Jonas a warm round of applause. Thank you.
O dabar kviečiu jūs patirti dar
Now
vieną
I would
cheminį
like to invite you
eksperimentą,
to
kavos
experience
pertrauką.
yet another chemical
Ir kadangi
experiment.
ta
It's called
kavos
a coffee
pertrauka
break. And since
nedidelė
that coffee
tokia,
break
tai
will be
be
short,
5:12 aš jūsų
so
lauksiu
5 minutes to
skyrių
12, I will
pasimatymą
be
čia atgal toj
waiting
pačioj
you.
vietoj.
I invite you to a date with me here at the same location. See you soon.
Sveiki sugrįžę.
Welcome
Man
back.
atrodo, kad
I
švietimiečiai, kai
think
susitinka,
that the
tai yra
education
toks
people, when
jausmas,
they
kad
meet, There's a
giminių
feeling that
susitikimas.
that's a
Jie
family
vieni kitų
meeting.
vardus žino,
They
apie
know
vaikus
each
klausia,
other by
apie
names. They ask
mokinius,
about their
apie,
children, about
apie
their
dar
students,
kokius nors
about
einamus dalykus. Ir aš
any
suprantu, kad
ongoing
labai sunku
stuff.
sustabdyti
So I
šitas
understand
kalbas.
that it's
Tai
very
turi
hard to stop
nuramint,
those
pertraukti darbus.
talks. So
Tai
be,
nepaleiskit tos
be
minties, ką pradėjot
patient, you
šnekėti
will
prie
have
kavos
more
puodelio,
breaks.
bet
So don't
neriame
forget
toliau,
what you
nes aš gi
started
jūs
talking
intrigavau ir
about
sakiau, kad jūsų laukia dideli
with
įspūdžiai
coffee.
ir nuotykiai.
But
Tai dabar į
now
sceną kviečiu Izabelę
impressions
Tamaliūnaitę ir
and
Einarą
adventures
Martinkėną
await you.
iš Anykščių
Now
Jono
I
Biliūno
invite
gimnazijos.
Izabelė
Ir šitie du
Tamoliūnaitė
jauni
and
žmonės
Einoras
jus
Martinkėnas
pakvies
from
į
Anykščiai
kiną.
Jonas Biliūnas Gymnasium,
Pasiruoškite.
and these wonderful young people will invite you to the cinema. Get ready. Silence. Sound rolling. Scene one. Take one. Action. This is how each day of the filming process starts. And now what really goes on in front of camera.
Jūs matėte mūsų filmo
You
Rebound
saw
ištrauką. Ir mes norime
an
jums
extract
papasakoti,
from our
kaip mums
film,
sekasi
Rebound,
šį filmą
and
kurti
we
ir
will
kaip mes su juo
tell
nukeliavome
how we
nuo
were
Anykščių
making
bažnyčios
this
bokšto
movie
iki Eifelio
and how we
bokšto.
traveled with it
O pats mūsų
from the
filmas
tower of
yra apie
Anykščiai
vaikiną,
Church to the
kuris
Eiffel
prisiima
Tower.
kaltę už
And
savo
the
grupės
film is
nesėkmę
about a
ir
guy who
pamažu
takes
išmoksta su ja
blame for
susitaikyti
the
ir galiausiai paleisti,
misfortune of
nors
his
jo
team.
draugai jo visai net
And
nekaltina ir
finally,
priima jį tokį,
he
koks jis
learns
pats
how to
save
come up
atstumia.
to terms with it
Tai
and how to
mūsų
release it, although the teammates don't blame
patys kino
him.
mokymai ir visa pradžia
And
yra
our
prasideda nuo to,
film
nuo pačių įgūdžių
education
įgavimo.
and the
Taip,
start of the
mes
film
pradėjome savo
start
kino
with
mokslą nuo
getting
kino
the
dirbtuvių.
skills.
Kino
And
dirbtuvės
we
turėjome
started
rudenį
with
per
the workshop on
atostogas. Taip.
cinema. It was during the
Pirmosios
autumn break,
dirbtuvės
school break.
buvo su
And the
Marija
first
Stonyte,
workshop
kuri yra
was with
režisierė,
Marija
ir
Stonyte, who is the
Mantu
director,
Kazlausku.
and
Jie
Mantas
mus mokė
Kazlauskas.
apie
They were
autorių
teaching
teises,
us about the
kaip jos
copyright,
veikia,
how
kaip
they
jas
work,
gauti
how
ir kaip jos yra
to
suteikiamos.
get
Tai
them,
taip
and
pat
how they are
pasižymi mūsų pačiame filme,
provided.
kur
We
mes susisiekėm su
also,
visokiais žmonėm dėl
in our
muzikinių klipų,
film,
kaip jum labai
we
gerai turbūt
contacted
žinomas
many
Free Finger
people,
ir Mamis, su kuriais mes
like
susisiekėme
Freefinger
ir
and
gavome
Mami,
autorių teises naudoti jų
with
dainas
whom
savo
we
filme.
contacted, and we
Tada
received their
antrosios
permission to use their
kino
songs in
dirbtuvės
our film.
buvo su
Then the second
garso
workshop
režisieriumi
was with the
Laurynu
sound
Kamarausku. Taip,
mixer
ir jisai mus mokė
Laurynas
naudotis techniką.
Kamarauskas, and he
Mes
was
taip pat
teaching us
gavome
how to use the
naują
equipment.
techniką iš šio projekto
We
tūkstantmečio
received
mokyklų.
the equipment
Mes esam
within this
pirmoji mokykla su
project,
tokia profesionalia
Millennium
įranga.
Schools.
Taip
We are
pat
the first
mes
school
gavome
to have
labai
such a
prabangią
professional
kamerą.
equipment,
Irgi
and
esame pirmoji
also
mokykla
very
Lietuvoje,
exclusive,
kuri
expensive
turi tokią
camera
kamerą.
we got.
Tai yra
We are the
Blackmagic.
first school in
Ir kaip
Lithuania
naudotis
to
pačia
have
kamera,
such a camera,
dirbtuvėse susipažinom
Blackmagic,
ir mus
and
supažindino
we
dirbtuvių
learned how
inžinierius,
to use this
dirbtuvių
camera.
mokytojas sūnus.
We were taught by Jokūbas Miškinis. He's a
Ir
cinematographer and son of one of our
dar buvo
teachers.
vienos
And another workshop was about this screenplay, how is it being written, how you develop characters, and it was done with Živilė Malčiulytė. This is a photo from our workshop. On the left, we're learning about the structure of the screenplay with Mičiulytė, and on the right we see how we are being instructed about the copyright, and we got a task to do. On the left we see Isabelle with our new expensive camera. She's being taught how to operate it. But this camera doesn't take any sound because you have to use other piece of equipment, the boom. We were taught how to use the sound equipment, to use the boom, the recorders. And after the workshop, we had a project called the Sky of the World. And one day in November was selected when 7 countries worldwide met, and they had to shoot a 1-minute video which makes 2/3 of sky and 1/3 of the environment. The task seemed simple, but actually when you are filming the sky, you are creating the atmosphere. And atmosphere is the most impactful thing in our movie. And we see the sky in several scenes. So Rebound. Our film is called Rebound. Today we were participating in the project Le Cinéma, French project. It's been the 7th year already we've been part of this project, and this year's topic was an individual, group and community, and we had to use some escape route, either emergency exit or escaping the group. But how did that topic came up, and how did we use it? First of all, we had to examine the individual's relationship with themselves and then with the group. We are so individual, all of us, so independent, unique, and we are trying to find some meaning in ourselves, because for each person, that's the main goal probably, but it's also important to understand your relationship with the group, to expand your own worldview with the others, not just being isolated. So the topic was individual and the community. Each of us contributed our individual work, then we took decisions as a group, and we brought cinema to the community. After all those workshops, we started making our movie, Rebound. It started with a screenplay. Everyone, we decided who does what, who's the sound mixer, cinematographer, producer, director, and so on. This is a piece of a screenplay which we used. It took about 2 months to write it, quite a long time. And this is the first day of shooting. On the left, we were filming a real basketball game. It was quite hard because Isabelle was filming something like this. We had quite a lot of challenges with the equipment, although we were trained, but still it was quite hard. And we had many problems, like during the first game, which was very good. Visually, we filmed it in slow-mo, accidentally, and there was no way to change that. So therefore, we had to film 2 other games. It's good that our team plays well, they didn't lose. And on the right, we were filming outdoors. That was the most complicated scene. This was filmed from the car, and it took 2 weeks really to film it. We couldn't handle all the lighting, all the cast, the actors were doing crazy things. And it seems like the scene is like 15 seconds on screen, and it took us so long to do it. You see our sound guy is in the trunk, and then on the left, we see the director. He's holding the camera to keep it stable on the go. Because the cinematographer, me, I had to walk next to the car. On the left, we see another meeting with Jokūbas, because it was difficult with all the equipment, so we asked him once again to explain everything, because it's difficult to remember. The equipment is very complicated. You need a lot of practice and understanding. On the right is again the same car scene. Here we had already some skills. And we were in touch with some business people in Anykščiai who contribute to many different projects, including the shooting, the filming. I don't know if they do it voluntarily or not. And here we met the owner of the club, and we invited as many people as possible. We had to film like a dancing scene, like a party after the basketball game. And first day we had a challenge, because the owner called us and said, "We cannot film today because I'm leaving." So we went on the next day, and we didn't have many people because they were not informed. And so inside we had to work with different colors, and it matched the whole atmosphere of the film. Here it was my 18th birthday. It was on the shooting day. And here there will be an extract showing how we use GoPro. Sorry, the sound is too low. We had to attach the GoPro so that Kaius, our main character, would be able to run without shaking the camera. The image had to be stable, but unfortunately we had to take a hard decision. Although it took a long time to film it, we couldn't use it. And it didn't match the entire movie. It didn't came out nice. So we got skill to be able to get rid of certain things. There's another video from the entire process. Ready? Wait. Ready, Žygis? Žygis, why aren't you going? Our driver didn't know how to drive, really? Now it's better.
Čia vairavo mano mama.
Here my mom was driving. You see the like pathetic amount of people. One, two, three. Show me. I think he smiled too fast, but I show the butt quite well. This is the shot we couldn't use. Good. Yeah, turn it off. This is how our entire process ends. We couldn't film lots of the process. We were focused on the actual filming, so we didn't have time to shoot behind the scenes. And finally, our movie ended up in France, and we had its premiere in Paris, in one of the universities in Paris. And here you see us with one of the organizers of the French project, Le Cinéma, Claude, and he praised our film like all the audience. We don't want to brag, but the audience liked it. We don't want to brag, but we will also take part in other events. And this is how our journey ended. What we understand from it, that cinema isn't made by one person. It's a team challenge. And when you are in the process, there are a lot of doubts, uncertainties, but such opportunities, such projects, they open our eyes wider. And we want such challenges to have them even more, like this conference. And these challenges, they stimulate us when we finally overcome them. We understand that the world is very interesting, and the way it makes us, working with cinema broadens our horizons on how we see the world. And for the end, I want to quote our beloved cinema teacher, who is somewhere in the audience. She said that cinema is only means, but the goal is us. Thank you. You just came back from the cinema. So the first thing, which I think all people are asking, where can we see the movie? I forgot to mention, our school has a YouTube channel called AJBG Cinema Club. We have not only our movie, but all the other movies filmed by our school, not just filmed, but also theater performances, school celebrations, so we can see it for free. Yes, no tickets needed. Will you make another movie? Unfortunately, we have no more time, as we are soon to finish our school. The exams are coming. So another question, do you plan to connect your life with cinema? Me, not, unfortunately. So not the laughter had to be, but the wave of sorrow. But I will connect my life with cinema. So Isabelle and Einoras, we are really grateful for the film, and we hope that you will change your mind, or maybe just devote some of your free time, because Isabella will need time, and it's good to have reliable people. So maybe she will force me. So lots of luck, and we will meet in the cinemas. Thank you. And now, I invite you from cinema to go to the forest.
From cinema to the forest, because by contrast, best things become visible. Vilija Vitaitė and Liepa Gudaitytė will come to stage from Alytus Jotvingių Gymnasium. Their presentation is Science at School or in Space, in Nature. Hello, I say to you all those with feet, all those barefoot, those who weren't too lazy to come and see us. So let's not wait for anything else. Let's just get on with this. So, hello everyone. As you can see, I'm Milea Vitaitė, this is Liepa Gudaitytė, and today we said hello in Dzūkų dialect. We are from this region, from Alytus city. We often hear a phrase that one has to learn throughout entire lifetime, but have you ever thought what is the best location to do that? We keep thinking that at school it's simplest to do it, but maybe it's more simple to study where all these things are happening in nature exactly. We raised this particular question when we prepared to present our project. So let's start telling. Our project is called Exploratory Expedition of Natural Sciences, which was implemented with the help of the Millennium Schools program. Funding allowed us to work and use the most up-to-date equipment and to cooperate with the best specialists. For the 6 days in Dzūkija National Park, united 4 schools of Alytus city: Jotvingiai, Būtinai Gymnasium, Likiškėlė and Volungė Pro-Gymnasiums. In total, there were 65 pupils and 10 teachers stepped out from the theory box to practically connect biology, physics, chemistry and IT knowledge. So, in other slide, maybe you won't be able to analyze these tables, but we just wanted to frighten you a bit, because our daily agenda was very intense. You can take a peek at what's happening. Also, you'll be able to see it further in the coming slides, where we will tell you about the days spent in the camp. So, June 8th, when everything started, in the Mokykla region, outskirts, we arrived quite early. Because we gathered from different schools, we needed to break the ice by playing games which were organized by teachers from different schools. As you can see, we played different games of getting acquainted with questions. We had to go to meet different students because we didn't know each other really, but the work commenced right away. So, Forest of Dzūkija region became for us a living STEAM laboratory, and in the first evening in the forest we installed monitoring cameras for nighttime animals. And we were guessing, what will we see? What is happening in the forest in the nighttime? And on the second day, the school bell was changed by morning exercise conducted by me. Then we split into groups with nature specialist Mindaugas Lavelė learned to know medical herbs and even tasted natural vitamins, nettle leaves. Others checked heart rate, played drums with Mr. Nedzinskas. Playing drums was my favorite activity, by the way. Others created plant inlays. After the lunch, theory became practice. We used modern equipment for chemical tests and experiments, and the evening was dedicated to sustainability by resurrecting old textile for new life. On Tuesday, the third day, we went to space and time travel. From Virginia Mounts stories, we traveled to a unique swamp called Bear Butt. Yeah, it sounds a bit vulgar, but indeed it was a very dirty place, but that was the most interesting work. Out of 1 meter depth mud, we pulled peat 1,000 years old, collected samples from ecosystem. It sounds boring, but it was really fun for us. You should try it sometime. The day was crowned by a panorama of the area. Others observed nighttime animals, others stepped to the sky and observed stars. On the 4th day, we were met by the rain, but there is no bad weather for expedition. There is only new data. The rain has become for us a research material. We checked precipitation and wind speed. In the lab we checked out old photography technique, and in the forest we observed with binoculars different species of birds. This day taught us the most important characteristic of an explorer: ability to adapt and find discoveries in any conditions. The 5th day became as if energy cocktail. We were using special devices. We measured sugar, different drinks, and we figured out that those labels are hiding big secrets. Later followed a hiking walk through Katskagiris trail. We learned to recognize moss, indicator of clean air. We had one more encounter with the swamp, but this time we stepped into it barefoot. And the last sixth day, on that day, we became officially young scientists. And we presented our surveys and research. We learned that cabbage can be an excellent pH indicator, and air in deep forest can be surprisingly clean. Me and Ilya and our group, we presented songs of Dzukų region, also sang folk song, and biggest applause was provoked by video footage of nighttime cameras which recorded a fox and a deer, which you will be able to see later. School principals who came to the closing day were happy to see our shining faces, and we were awarded STEAM certificates, which is a proof that dare to explore gives knowledge for the whole life. So, our experience. We had a great honor to conduct a lesson about Dzukų dialect and music, because we attend folk songs and dance group, so we will be able to have this communal connection. There was laughter, tears, joy, but we will not exchange this experience to anything. How did you feel? I personally forgot all my fatigue, stress and sleepless nights. What I was left with was lessons learned, skills gained, and new friends I've met. Okay. The best spirit of expedition is best displayed by ideas, thoughts of pupils. In their thoughts, transformation from simple curiosity down to deep understanding was that nature is the best classroom. We saw how they decided to have more possibilities to spend time in nature, to learn, and they realized that science isn't just figures or formulas, it's creativity, adventure, and time together. And our adventures garnered attention outside of camp limits. This initiative was written about by municipality for Alytus city. LRT, national broadcaster, prepared a video report about this expedition. If you have any questions, did everything go smoothly? Was everything easy? My answer to you is definitely not. Physical fatigue, rain, big workload were big challenges to us, but also they taught us many things like working team, delegate assignments, and to never give up. We realized that communication and joint objectives allow to overcome any obstacles. Here you can see how we played during Nosnezinska's lesson about drums and rhythmics and how it is related with our biology. On the left hand side you can see photos from our expedition period. And now we want to show you perhaps most anticipated footage, nightlife in the forest. These are the weirdest animals you saw. It's a rare species. Now we have a cat, fox, very courageous bird, the cat. We were all sleeping, exhausted, and the animals were running around at night. So, indeed, no matter how difficult it was, we had a survey among students how they assess their ability to study nature. We saw it was good, average answers, but they were not sure about their possibilities. They answered different questions. There were surveys conducted every day so we could monitor the progress. And at the very end, people said they would definitely go once more to the same camp. Others said they're not sure, perhaps they got very tired, but the major part of students wanted to repeat this experience. We want to finish our presentation by asking the question with which we started: at school or in the nature? This expedition has proven to us that there cannot be a single answer. But our most important conclusion is that science is everywhere, but there is a curious human being, and where there are necessary tools. Thanks to the Millennium Schools program, we realize that technologies and living nature can work together by giving us not only knowledge, but also invaluable experience while working in a team. So our outtakes is not just team certificates, but also a realization that biggest discoveries happen when we dare to step out of our comfort zone. This trip is over, but the path of us as researchers is only beginning. So allow us to wish you happy days. Milea and Liepa, since you spoke in Dzūkai dialect, how many people are from Dzūkija region here? Oh, there is some. They will understand. If you could now say to teachers who are sitting here and thinking maybe it's not worth going to a forest, tell them words of encouragement, but in Dzūkai dialect. Oh, this is your field. Go on. No. Go on. Is it worth going to a forest? We will speak not in Dzūkai, but we will say it very strongly in ordinary Lithuanian that it's really worth doing that. It's definitely worth going to a forest. Do it. You will learn a lot. Would you repeat such experiment right before exams? 100 times yes. I would, but of course I would have to dedicate some time for preparation for exams. How much time you have left till exams? We have session in June. We already had first exam. We are 11th graders. Maybe it can be repeated after expedition, after exams. Yes, sure. Look, we have people sitting here and thinking maybe you could organize such expedition for teachers only. We should consult with our dear teacher because she is our source of everything. But I think everything is possible if you put effort. Ladies, would you go into the forest? I'm talking to teachers. Please raise your hands. Who would go? You see? Be more courageous. Be more sincere. You see, they definitely would go. We already have a crowd. So we have a plan. Thank you so much. And now we have one more presentation. We have Adomas Zaikinas from Millennium Gymnasium. He will speak about leadership and action. It's about you.
Thank you very much for such nice presentation. As it was said, I will talk about leadership through action. So first of all, I want to ask you, who of you had a teacher at school who saw a leader in you? Maybe you didn't see it yourself, nobody else saw, but a teacher saw potential in you. Oh, there are hands. Nice. But leave your hands up. Those whose teacher not only saw the potential in you, but also pushed you, was looking for ways to express that potential. Slightly less, but there are hands still, so good, very good. So some teachers did try to help you. So that's how I would like to start. This is my story. So all the time before 7th grade, as you see me in the 7th grade, slightly slimmer, I was always afraid to take action. For example, to talk in front of a larger audience or to take responsibility for my own actions or my team. Even to stand in front of the class, 15, 20 people, and to tell about the book I read, that was great stress and I couldn't sleep the night before. But I was also avoiding the tasks, which involved some leadership skills, until my class teacher convinced me to go and say the welcome speech for the 1st of September. I don't know how she managed that, and because I would have never thought of that. But the teacher laughed at my reaction, but she convinced me. What she was saying was that, Adomas, if you want to achieve your goals, if you want to get better, to move forward, you have to step out of your comfort zone. Not once, not twice, but do it constantly. So after 20 no's by me, finally my teacher convinced me. As you can imagine, my first speech wasn't the best, definitely, but it was the first step. It was like a breakthrough, since when I got the feel of it and I wanted to do it again and again, to improve on the mistakes I made the first time. So if that time the teacher wouldn't have pushed me, I wouldn't be standing here today. Somebody else would be standing. Thank you. So briefly, what does the word leadership mean to me? For me personally, it means three main qualities. That's clear vision and plan, which is shared with the team, and the team is convinced that this is the goal to follow. And as it has been said, if there is why, the question how becomes very clear. So if we know why we have that goal, why do I want to do this? Why do I want to start such a business or get such a profession or to teach others? So then automatically it becomes clear how to do it. The next is resilience. As we all know, athletes, stories of athletes, politicians, other famous people, they try for 100 times and they didn't succeed for 99 times. But the resilience teaches people to stand up again, to learn from mistakes, to see what I've done wrong, this and that. I need to improve on that next time. And this resilience allows to get back on your feet. Even if you are at your lowest point, I still try again. And the final thing, which in my opinion is the most important, is noticing potential in the others and motivation to act. To notice people who doesn't seem leaders, like my teacher did in the 7th grade. I didn't look like a leader, the one who could talk in front of 100 people. I was scared to talk in front of 2 people and to talk about anything, not even serious things. So she took the risk when she told me to deliver a speech. My speech wasn't the best. It was noticed by others. This was the burden on the shoulders of the teacher. It was her responsibility, but she came to terms with the risk and she decided that it's worth risking. Now, what is the problem that I see? And when I asked you to raise your hands, that very many shy people, they stay unnoticed as leaders. When they feel weak, there is nobody to push them. So that's why I will try to convince you, to show you how this can be done with the students who are not confident, who are not showing their strengths. I will show how it can be done through the activities in Molėtai Gymnasium. It's about my personal experience and activities where I'm taking part in. So first is the debate club. Imagine a space where each member is the leader. There are no main roles, presidents, ministers, heads of departments. Each student is a leader. This is the system for our debate club. As we have a group of people, of students, about 20 students who are debuting or debating, we are changing roles. Some moderate, some become the referees or judges, and everyone can rotate, try out different roles, and receive really useful experiences. For example, to withstand pressure. For example, when there is really harsh debate and you feel pressured, you don't give up, you move on and try to convince the audience and the judges about your arguments, and so witstanding the pressure, being able to convince, because you have to convince the public in what you believe. And I will show a short video done by our students about the debates a couple of weeks ago. So let's take a look. On the 10th of February in Molėtai Gymnasium, there was a debate that modern gene therapy provides more benefit than risks. So there were two teams, those for and against, judges. It was according to the format of WDC, and one team said that this is one of the most advanced areas of medicine, but the other said that it might have quite severe consequences on people and on science. The first team was arguing that gene therapy can cure incurable diseases, and it can cure immunity problems, and gene therapy can increase the quality of life of the patients, like with some genetic diseases, and to be able to lead a full-fledged life. The opposing team said that the risks of gene therapy are great, and that some doctors in their official reports have told that some of the patients had negative impacts. And the cost is great. It can be thousands, hundreds, thousands, millions, but these are separate cases. The first team that the opposing team said that it might be used for bad purposes, and it can have long-term consequences which are not known well. After long discussions, awarded the victory to the team who was for the gene therapy. And the teacher said that it's very important area. It allows to apply certain treatment depending on the specific patient, and it showed that the debating team have to have knowledge and responsibility. Thank you. The video is maybe too long. I hope you won't lose your focus. It's also important to mention about the debates, and one of the focuses of my presentation that our German teacher started the debate club. If she didn't start, if she wouldn't have allowed any people to join the club, even the quiet ones, we wouldn't have had such a professional debate club which takes part in different competitions, and we have won several debates. So the teachers, you have a very strong impact the life and of the shy people and their potential to become leaders. Another activity was this SEB Bank Ambassador Program. So me and my friend Kristupas, we took part in it in 2024-25, and our duty was to have lessons of financial literacy for our peers and younger ones. And it was very valuable experience how to get feedback from the audience, how to interest the audience. Of course, it's easier to with the children to get them interested. But what we learned was very useful. Another activity is future engineering from Vilnius Tech University. Same friend and me, we started our project of a strategy for aggressive investment, with which we won first place in Lithuania. This year we went to the final with slightly different strategy for investment and speculation. The final will be in May this year. We'll see how it goes. So, the conclusions, I will present three main conclusions, main focus areas. First of all, leadership of students is developed when they step out the comfort zone. They don't need to be forced that go or you will get a bad grade or some comment. They need to be convinced, maybe find some weaknesses in a friendly way by teachers, how to push them into the real world. And then after that first breakthrough, it happens quite often when everything escalates, and then it develops automatically. You don't have to ask the student to deliver a speech or host some events. They do it themselves voluntarily. Another thing is the practice works better than theory. What I showed, the debates, future engineering, SEB, this is done in practice, not on paper only, because when students see the real result, when they see the action, how the debates go, how investment works, they get involved much deeper. When they get involved, they relax and they can do it easier, they can open up and become leaders. And the final conclusion, in my opinion, is the most important, is that support of teachers is basically everything. If a student is supported by a teacher, and the student is generally shy and nobody expects anything from them, so teacher can overturn their life to a better, like my teacher did. And for the end, I would like to connect all the conclusions with such a nice scene from the Dead Poets Society film. Most of you have seen it. When the teacher, he found the weakness of the shy guy, of Todd, and he pushed Toad to open up. And it seemed like out of nothing he started talking, and he delivered such a poem which was never heard by the teacher before. It shows how strong is the role of the teacher. And I want to finish my presentation with Ralph Nader's quote, that the function of leadership is to develop more leaders and less followers. And if you see a shy guy who has potential, not for sure, but maybe, so try it, and maybe it will succeed.
I think we are both strong. Well, it's good to take a picture now. But does body height aids leadership? I think it does. It's not true. I don't agree. You mentioned leaving the comfort zone. How much effort did it took for you to exit your comfort zone? Now it has become almost a comfort zone for me. But which moment is the most difficult? While still at home or now, here today? When I was sitting there in the hall and knew that after 5 minutes I will have to go on stage. But do you know that all these adults here in the audience, they are worried just like you and anxious? Yes, and you will be even more anxious soon. Thomas, one more piece of advice. You spoke about this magic profession of a teacher who managed to unlock and empower pupils. How teacher can find this magic button within himself, herself, in other person? Can you give some piece of advice to audience here? How to observe it, how to notice it? Notice some small, minor detail. Not pay attention, not how pupil talks during class when everyone's listening, but have a personal conversation with a pupil. Look, what is his or her worldview? How he or she sees the subject taught by you. Maybe then you can find something to hook up with. Thank you. I think now you are all empowered and you know how to be wizards, magicians in particular sense. Thank you. And right before the break, the last presentation of this part is of one of the hosts of this house. It's head of education department of Stasys Museum, Mr. Vilius Vaitiekūnas. We should know why we had these installations here and what has happened. Hello everyone. I was listening to presentations and was thinking really that we can feel secure that project really worked. Entire Millennium Schools project really worked. We can go home now and wave it goodbye with a smile. I also feel like this, and I will tell why it is so. You're spending time in Stasys Museum already. There you saw spaces, forest pavilion downstairs, walk around this space as well. We had a wonderful occasion at Stasys Museum to cooperate with architects and artists with whom we already cooperate, and include into this cooperation also pupils from different schools of Panevėžys city who in one way or another are interested in design, architecture, who want to dedicate more time to something that the education program doesn't cover, to get familiar, acquainted with these crafts. And we in Stasys Museum, being interested in architecture and creating conditions for various architectural initiatives and experiments to happen, we proposed for Millennium Schools team, I see representatives are smiling, we offered them, hey, let's do an experiment, let's see what happens. There is this artist who also presented his work in Venice Biennale event. He has a saying, what if? When you are creating some object or work of art and you don't know what next step will be. So when we made this proposition, we also were like this, had this posture, we don't know what will it be, but it will be interesting. I will tell you more. I made lots of pictures to keep your attention. There will be lots of smiles and faces. I will start soon. The slideshow. In January we had a plan. It consisted of 3 parts. First part was to invite pupils from Panevėžys city and together with them an architecture company which originates from Panevėžys out together with Simona Gaigilaitė, architect, and her team to create architecture or furniture or some design objects which would allow later to educations which take place here to present these things. This was quite an abstract task, and this abstraction was point of departure, and pupils 3 times met, attended various workshops, created models, presented architectural visions, and architects had to produce this furniture together with masters We said we want there to be movement, we want it to be transparent, and we want an impression, we want some atmosphere to be there. This was the assignment. And then, here you see pupils didn't smile much, but they worked a lot, they were listening a lot. I was lying actually about the smiles. Okay, I'm going back. And then, in the result of which was crystallized architecture of the space. You see this furniture, which are here standing behind me and everywhere else. Tomorrow and day after tomorrow they will be positioned looking forward, and they will create this atmospheric sensation where you will be able to see through of every piece of furniture. It should create some landscape, not necessarily utterable experience, which would allow to sense the number of events which happened prior to this event in the museum. I will get to that in a moment. They crystallized this model. Unfortunately, now you cannot see everything because there's too many of you. But tomorrow, part of you will be back here. You will be able to see everything, how it was intended. And then, children, sorry, not children, teenagers, they are taller than me. They created these kind of objects. They create this sensation of transparency. When items are placed on each other, it creates yet another different impression. So they created this impression, and just like I mentioned, tomorrow or day after tomorrow we will put everything here in the front, just like in this composition. Illumination will be a bit different, and there will be exhibition on 4th floor at Stasys Museum, which you will be able to use. File applications to universities. We will clearly communicate the values which we will get apart from experiences in craft. We will have some future perspectives after this project. And since we managed to find common ground, we had fun, we see that people who got involved into it, engaged, they really care, their curiosity doesn't end with this project. We organized for them a trip to Vilnius to meet architects who in reality create cities, buildings from smaller scales, building schools up to designing skyscrapers, or down to small objects which are more experimental, more niche architecture. Of course, those architects would be angered by my words, but whatever. Here you see, we are at architect's office. Only part of pupils joined this trip. They were really fascinated by this space. I won't speak too much on their behalf, but it made them an impression that quantity and size, the scale, it's in a former concrete factory in Vilkpėdė district. They have modern architecture office there. They saw how architects think not just about buildings or some local squares, but also how they think about part of a city, how some vision can, it can birth 10-year plan, how it can give direction for entire cities, urbanistic landscape and ideas, how they sell ideas, they make presentation. When we visited Petras and Ona Lozoraičiai in much smaller studio, here's my colleague Saulius. He's not smiling, he's stone-faced, but kids are smiling. And this Office of Architects, here is Petras. We will have City Changes Pavilion. We will present it at the beginning of the summer, since major changes are happening in regional towns and cities. There are many conversations ongoing about in which direction urbanization of smaller cities is moving, why particular decisions are made. We will create some pavilion exactly with these architects in the photo. Conversations about that. If you will visit Panevėžys in summertime, you will see something you haven't experienced yet. Or maybe you did, but it will be interesting anyway. So we visited them. Here is one of pavilions created by Petras and Ona. Then we visited Mantas Peteraitis, who part of whose works you can see in the second floor in Children's Forest Pavilion here. If you haven't visited yet, if you came to this museum, go and see that. You'll see a space created for children to experience, to understand how forest works. Not with ideas of adults, but for children themselves to create narratives, how forest is changing. Mantas is one of co-creators of that project. He talks about materials, materiality, how materials can be spared by not exploiting some template topics. Here you see a stone, 500 millions of years old. It was excavated in Lithuania. It's used not for exposition, but it's also like content. It tells us where are we here, what is our geological environment. It's like a modern ethnic art. There are many pictures or various materialities. What stories do we tell? Here you see a piece of glass from 1980s, which tells about sand, which was used back then, where from it the sand was excavated by glass, has this color. You as teachers perfectly understand what objects and process can convey to pupils. It was a novelty for me, that's why I tell this with such enthusiasm to you. And now we have a black screen. And then we had a big process, big event, and to which TOSTÜMIS team contributed largely. Veronika Kaminskaitė, colleague of mine, Živilė Tavičiūtė, Gustė, Tadas, many people who were creating this entire event and contributed to this project. And what was happening here, we had over 900 pupils last week and this week arriving from entire country. We had 28 education activities conducted by 23 teams of teachers from entire country. We had together with TOSTÜMIS team to create a precedent when we see it's kind of festival or soul events during which teachers from entire country conduct educations to pupils from other cities, and this way they present what they have learned. They brought their good practices. They demonstrated what we were doing in their schools. So it was knowledge and educational methods and experience exchange, a result of which was that numerous objects were created. Part of those objects the children took away. They say we don't want to leave it on the shelves here. Well, of course, we didn't like this much because we imagined it differently, but on the other hand, it also very well illustrated the fact that both TOSTÜMIS is not only about production, it's about experiences, about knowledge, and about self-knowledge, which pupils and teachers, by cooperating together, create. So, you will have an opportunity to see all these videos when walking around the museum. Since I hear your stomach singing, or is it my stomach perhaps? So I'm wrapping up with this presentation. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the museum soon. As I understand, there will be another speaker. Wait, don't run away. Okay, previously the speaker Adomas said that one has to step out of comfort zone. Did you have to step out from your comfort zone? You mean the museum? Yes, without a doubt. Not just for museum, but also for TOSTÜMIS and for Millennium Schools project and for all organizations which were involved. I won't demonstrate Excel tables, but you can imagine the contact list. What is needed, how many kids, what are individual needs, how to adapt the museum, how spaces should be transformed. So every education had its own challenges. But again, museum team, my colleagues Jurga, Veronika, Rasuolė, who supervised this whole thing, they had a wonderful learning experience, and all others, we are very happy, excited, and thank you. Were you impressed by this project? Yes. But I think word impression, joy, they cannot contain that sensation which overflows you when you think about the amount, the scope, how much we've learned and how it will impact and influence the development of education in Lithuania. Thank you for your hospitality. Thank you so much. And now, since Vilius announced the good news, that there will be lunch, and let alone there will be enough time to have conversations. So use your time, use this break for eating, conversing till 2 o'clock, walk around museum, find out what Vilnius presented. Also mini announcement to all the young speakers, please come forward here, because there are people who want to take a picture with you. Bon appetit and see you at 2 o'clock.
Kviečiu visus sugrįžti. Dešimt sekundžių, kol visi susės. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Noriu pasakyti, kad kaip smalsus žmogus
I wanted to say that as a curious person, being friends with this entire program of Millennium Schools with lots of teachers, I need to know a lot of things to be able to tell you because I can hardly surprise you. So I just found out that if we add all those people who are here and those who joined online, we are 300 around.
Tai va, o kadangi jau
So,
trupučiuką
if
pasistiprinę ir šiek tiek
you
pasikalbėję vienas su
had
kitu, tai dabar
a
galėsit
meal and
susikaupt
talk to each
ir
other,
prašysiu
so
jūsų
you can
dėmesio ir
focus,
tokio
and I will ask
pagarbaus
for your
dėmesio.
attention and
Ir į
dedicated
sceną
attention,
kviečiu
and I invite to
tūkstantmečio
the
mokyklų
stage
mamą, nes
the
be jos,
mother
man atrodo,
of the Millennium Schools,
čia
because I
irgi šitie
think without
varikliai nebūtų
her,
sukęsi.
all
Ir
those
negana to,
engines wouldn't be
priežastis, dėl
running.
ko jūs šiandien ir
And one
švenčiate
of
ir
the
yra
reasons why are you
smagu susitikti,
celebrating today,
man
and it's so
atrodo,
great
kad
to meet.
Judita Šarpienė,
I
jos
think that
pristatinėti
Judita
absoliučiai
Šarpienė,
nereikia, nes jinai,
she requires no
tiesiog yra
introduction
Judita, kaip Madonna,
because
taip
she's
Judita.
just Judita, like
Ir
Madonna.
jeigu
In this
ateina
case, it's
Judita, tai
Judita.
aš suprantu,
So
kad
if
su ja
Judita
neįmanoma
comes,
eit,
I
nes jūs
understand
visi
that
einat
it's
su ja
impossible to
pasisveikinti.
follow her
Tai čia yra,
or
tiesiog,
to go
Judita
with
scena
her
tavo.
because everyone wants to meet and greet her. So Judita, the stage is yours.
Jūs gal ir nepatikėsit po
Maybe
tiek tų
you
metų,
won't
kad
believe
dabar labiausiai
after
jaudinuosi.
all those years with
Nuo
the
visų tų
Millennium
renginių
Schools,
ir visų
I'm
reikalų.
nervous most of
Tai
all.
aš noriu
So
pradėti tuo
with
pačiu,
all
ką
those
pradėjom
events
jūsų
and
kvietimą į šį renginį.
things
Tai
to do,
sveiki, mėly
so I
partneriai ir
wanted to
bendrakeleiviai.
start
Nes
with the
garbūs,
greeting.
nuostabūs,
So dear
šviesūs jūs ir taip
partners,
žinot, kad esat.
honorable,
turėjot kartu
bright,
tokią skambut visą dieną. Ir dar
and
tos trečiosios dalies
patient.
sulaukėm.
You
Mano darbas
know
šiandien yra ir
who you
paprastas,
are,
ir kartu
and
labai
you managed
nepaprastas.
to
Tai
wait
yra
till the final
apžvelgti
part. So
viską,
my job
kas
is
įvyko
simple and
šito
not simple at
projekto
the
ir
same
šitos
time
programos
to
apimtyje.
overview what
Ir
happened
aš
within
tikiuosi,
the
kad bent
program.
dalį to padaryti
And I
pavyks,
hope
bet
I
jūs
will
tikrai
manage to
žinot,
do at
kiek
least
ta
some
programa
of it,
davė jums
part of it.
kiekvienam
You
ir
know
mūsų
how much
mokyklom,
this
mūsų mokiniam.
program gave to
Tai tuo
you
tikrai
and your schools
pasidalinsit
and
ir
your
vieni su
students.
kitais.
I
Tai
will
aš,
share it and you
aišku,
will share it with
grįžtu
each
į
other. So
pradžių
of course
pradžią,
I'm
apie ką ta
going
programa
to
buvo.
the
Ir mes
very
matyt
beginning. What was this
distiliavom
program
ją
about?
jau nuo
And we were
22
distilling
metų
it
pradžios, nes viskas buvo
from
labai
the start
sudėtingai
of the year
parašyta
2022.
programos apraše,
Everything was
dokumentuose,
written
bet per
in a
tuos
very
metus
complicated way in the
išsigrynino
description.
tokie gal
But over
3
the
paprasti
years,
dalykai, kad
the
programa iš
three
tikrųjų
simple
yra ne
things
tas vienas
became
batas,
clear.
į kurį visiems
That
reikia koją įkišti,
problem
bet
is not a
kiekvienam
shoe that
pasiūtas,
fits all,
kad
but
savivaldybės
tailored
ne
to
tik tai
each
įgyvendina kažką, ko reikia
individually,
valstybei,
and
bet pačios
municipalities, they are
apsisprendžia,
not
ko joms reikia
implementing
labiausiai.
what state
Ir
needs, but they decide what
programa
they
nėra
need.
vykdoma,
And the
jinai
program
yra
is not
kuriama ir įgyvendinama kartu.
implemented, but
Tai
is
manau, ta
developed and
graži
run
bendrystė
together.
tarp
So I
institucijų,
think
tarp
this nice
savivaldybių, tarp
collaboration
mokyklų ir
between the
mokinių
institutions,
šiandien tikrai
municipalities,
labai
schools,
gyva
and
ir
students
šiuose
is
lentynuose
really
ir visuose
live today. And
pranešimuose.
on
Tai
those
nežinau, ar jūs
all those
taip
presentations
gerai
today,
jūs papramogausit su manim kaip su mokiniais, bet nu
so I don't
pabandykit.
know if I can match
Tai
the level of
bendrai
entertainment they gave.
programa labai
But
gerai išsireiškia
generally, the
matematiškai skaičiais. Tai žinau, čia yra
program
žmonių,
looks
kuriems
very
patinka
nice
chemija, tai
in
tikiuosi
numbers,
patinka
in
ir matematika.
mathematics. I hope
Tai
that people who
bendrai
like chemistry
programos ta
also
visa
like
didžiulė
mathematics.
apimtis
So this entire
225
scope of the
milijonai,
program
daug
is
nulių, daug mokėjimo
225
prašymų, daug
million
ataskaitų,
euros,
daug sąskaitų
lots
ir
of
viso ko.
zeros, lots
Bet
of
svarbiausia tai
invoices,
žmonės, kurie su
payments.
ta
But the
investicijom
most
padarė
important
pokytį.
are the
Tai
people
turim
who made change with the
270
investment.
mokyklų,
We
kurios
have
dalyvavo tiesiogiai
270
programoje.
schools who
Skaičiuojam,
participate
kad
in the
tikriausiai
program
daugiau negu
directly.
300 dar
We
mokyklų prisijungė
think that
tinklaveikos
more
veiklose,
than
įvairiuose
300
patirčių
schools connected through
pasidalinimuose ir
networking,
bendradarbiavime
additional
tarp
300,
savivaldybių.
and the
Turim
cooperation
58
between the
savivaldybių
municipalities. We
komandas ir
have
aš čia net
58
nedrįsau
municipal
skaičiuot,
teams,
kiek
and I
žmonių
didn't
tose
dare to
komandose
count
prie
how
šito
many
projekto
people were in
prisilietė,
those
kad jis
teams,
būtų
how much
sėkmingas.
contributed to this project to make it a success. And as of today, if some changes are not happening yet, we have 3,985 activities which are real, tangible. They will be marked as completed, and they will bring change for you in one way or another. About 300 activity coordinators were working with that. They were coordinating those activities, so they wouldn't be overlapping. And maybe the most important numbers are the final ones, those people who took part in the activities. We have about 8,000 educators, teachers, and close to 100,000 students. So maybe they were touched by this program in one way or another. So I want to play fanfares within my head to all of you, because without you, nothing would have happened what's on the slide. And I would like to dedicate attention to each area, which made the core of the program. And the program is like a plant growing with different branches. And I will talk about different parts, and you will know where are you. I will talk about leadership in action, as the people with in their welcome speeches they mentioned. This is the least tangible thing, but very important. And the area itself had the goal to strengthen the leadership as community practice. It allows for systemic change in schools. We are not talking about one conductor who conducts it all or improving in one area, but generally strengthening leadership. And then through plans, different activities in municipal schools, this turned into practice-based training. I won't mention how much of that happened. Also internships, our teachers were learning from the practice locally and abroad, and we hear how teachers are talking. They don't only see what's going on there, but they also look back and see what kind of path they have gone through, and they see how to use those leadership tools, and maybe you thus can understand how successful you are, and you can congratulate yourselves as well. We have co-creation, which unites different groups to resolve programs in a systematic way, and so that they will not feel the single soldier in the field. And there are systemic models which resolve broader programs, not just one single thing. And it's great to see what we managed to achieve. Here is not about numbers. I think about 45 million were dedicated to the leadership, and they went to meaningful activities. But what we see, this is the increased competences and leaderships of all educators, not just the head teachers, and this has increased, and also self-confidence. We have effective cooperation structures like clubs, groups, mentorships, and there was a move from individual initiatives to systemic solutions, also strengthened cross-sectoral cooperation. We noticed from your practices that municipalities are more active in cooperation with other schools and other sectors, and also the improved climate in schools and student engagement, which is maybe less tangible but very important for the results of the students. Then another area which is not less important, we had different complicated descriptions and laws, but the systemic inclusive education, when creates equal learning opportunities for all students, regardless of their place of residence or their abilities. Doesn't matter where you are, what's your social status. And here it was very important to strengthen the competences and also developing all kinds of methodologies like universal design for education and different educational activities like full-day school, or what we found like inclusive team education, adaptation of the environment to make it accessible for everyone. And what was the result? What we have achieved and what we see is that, first of all, what was very important is to see what we have already, what we can use, and it's exclusively, but also in other areas, what we happened. This is doing the inventory. We have developed guidelines for universal design for learning. You have in your classes, I think, and the systematic implementation in school started that covered training and creating all kinds of activities, and also safe and accessible environment, which is understood as integral part of educational process, and also collaborative professional development in all kinds of areas, from group discussions, lectures, field trips, and so on. Now I'm moving to another important area, that is cultural education. We see today its results. This is the area where any other activity can reveal itself. So basically the program aims at cultural education to be as integrated in the formal education and not just as an event program, dance party. So it's not about dances, but about the accessibility of culture at schools, so that everyone knows where we are growing and what our culture people talking about. So what happened in schools? So of course, strengthening of teachers, especially art teachers, with long-term programs. For some it caused headache, for the others it was an inspiration. So long-term programs, they bring more of the contents. And also organizing formal education within the institutions and beyond the institutions. We know that the educational process needs to be strengthened, but for students to leave and see the world was very important, and we had to see how our schedules can work, and also funding for infrastructure, tools, and coordination of activities, and the results, so that the cultural education is not just an attachment to the educational program. This is non-formal education. This makes part of classes, activities, and those activities implemented. I think there were about 400 long-term activities which took at least 3 months in schools. Among them was the cinema, which was discussed and presented in Anykščiai. We noticed the increased competences among teachers. Maybe they had that before, but they didn't dare to show, to express. And of course, renovated spaces and strengthened cross-sectoral cooperation. This is very symbolic that what we started in 2022 with presentation in the Mall Museum. Now we are doing the final event in Stasys Museum. Now STEAM education, I think for many people is not something from outer space, as it seemed at the beginning. although quite a lot of work is being done by the STEAM open access centers. But generally, the main goal of the STEAM was to make the STEAM education systematic. So it's not just an entertainment to go out to an laboratory and occasional experiment, but that it would be ongoing process and all those results will be noticeable. And this resulted in renovated infrastructure in municipal schools. Actually, this was the most expensive part of the program. About 80 million went to this, and that covered not only labs but also equipment, which is important to explore different areas and parts of nature. And also networking is very important. When municipalities started writing their progress plans, it became obvious what STEAM is doing. It became the centers of attraction and different activities. What we have achieved, I'm glad that it was not just individual activities, but municipal level system. We are using the modern renovated labs in a smart way. And I think during this project duration of Millennium Schools, I think the numbers of labs increased significantly. Also, cooperation between the schools becomes stronger. When there is a need to share something, the cooperation becomes stronger. And of course, the accessibility. So you don't have to go to a further STEAM center and everything is available at your local school. That is important. And the final area, which might not have been so bright at the start of the program, but it became so obviously important within the project, is when we were not alone. There were students from other schools. We didn't know each other. Then we got to know each other. That is networking. When we were talking about the during the consultation, initial consultations, it sounded like a foreign word, but it's actually about creation of networks and establishing a connection, and that results in improved education and its quality, and we can purchase things and use it in a communal way. Also, cooperation was developed between schools. When municipal schools and teachers from them, they meet together, their head teachers, they discuss how to resolve certain problems and come up with unified schedules. Also, there was interprofessional cooperation and dissemination of experience. Methodological and managerial networks were shared, and developing connections was important. About 2 years ago, we started telling in our events that be brave, because cooperation is above the competition, and networking can be also the tool for professional growth. So I don't have to go myself somewhere, but colleagues can go there and bring and share the experience. And on the municipal level, it was done. Initiatives were then shared by the others, and of course the community, students, parents, and children with various needs became more involved in school life. And in general, how I want to summarize all those results, and not to end it with a stop sign, but as a dot, dot, dot. So, because we will go back to our work tomorrow or next week. So, although the program is over, but it's not the end of your initiatives and your activities, is just a starting point. I talked to municipalities and they are saying we are continuing with it. The project is over, but nothing has stopped. We are continuing. So actually those practices that were born within this program, it became as a standard for activities of many schools. So we are really happy that we contributed to that. And of course, strengthened competences is the engine or the vehicle that cannot be taken away from people. They've learned something and they can move on and spread that and learn from each other. It's good that national policy and the plan of different institutions reflects all those areas which our project was talking about for 4 years. And in municipalities, you can continue doing in a wonderful way what you have been doing, and my wish is for you to never stop. So these were maybe slightly boring things, but now I want to say how glad I am that in May we are publishing this publication co-authored by all of you. This is publication of the best practices of municipalities, which my colleagues will confirm. It will be about 700 pages. It's a good read for the summer. It will be recommended on knygos.lt website as a summer read. And our goal and our work was to put together all achievement in the areas of improving the performance of schools. But of course, in this I mentioned briefly about the activities, but in the book you will see what happened in all those 5 areas. Another important thing in the publication is separate individual profile of each municipality. You can read about yourselves and other municipalities, and it will describe the main changes that happened over these 4 years. Also, good practice descriptions will be available, starting with details and challenges up to the numbers of participants and the secrets how these activities were and should be implemented, and then analysis of challenges and how to overcome them. So I hope that in May we will be as alive and active as we are now, and we will be able to send you the electronic copy of this publication, because you must understand 700 pages is a lot, so let's save the trees. And now the conversations in the community. This is also your results of your work. We have published 3 books. We have recommendations for municipalities about the implementation of Millennium for Schools program, and these are guidelines which will be important in the future. Next is guidelines for universal design for learning, and the third is good municipal practices, 3 books. We have series of educational videos. And I'm happy that some people here contributed to those educational videos on universal design for learning, and they are very useful and you can use them in your classrooms. Another thing, that over the program we organized over 50 events where all of us met. Maybe we got bored of each other already, but meeting between the coordinators, sharing good practices, and such events like this, they bring all of you together with enlightened or heightened mood, and which results in sharing and hugs, which is also very important. Also important what the program was presented on national level, and not only, also abroad. This program sounds quite loudly also beyond our country, and more impressive figures. We had such a communication campaign which was called the Ambassadors of POSTÜMIS, that is impetus or push. So you are participants of all of that, and someone wrote on a sheet of paper that was Lithuanian play of words, which means push, and it involves that acronym TUM. And we saw practices, your practices, practices of other schools, and have in mind that videos are very expensive, and it shows how their schools look, and which many people don't notice. And after those videos, graduates who see us, they say, wow, I would like to go to school again. And our final podcast will be released next week. We have over 1,000 listeners, and we have our voice, and it's about your work and your practices. We have more than 700 newsletter readers, probably you received in your mailboxes. It's about the we have more than 2 million users reached through messages from Facebook page, and over 15,000 views of the YouTube channel. And what our team is proud of, that we had over 150 trips to municipalities, and we saw what's going on. This is our joint effort, and it shows how many hours we spent by consulting and conversations. So over 1,500 consultations for municipalities, online and live. So you must understand how powerful is this community. And the most important part, I was told that I need to say something from myself. I was thinking a lot, and I remembered from the times of my school the quote that so believe in what doesn't exist yet in order for it to be. So it encompasses lots of our joint experiences, your plans, your activities, maybe your ideas, what you saw and brought to the program. Nothing of that would have happened if somebody wouldn't have believed that that's possible. So I really believe in you, and you've inspired me over these years. This is to believe that it is possible. When someone believes, all the tools come. And now the very most important part is the thank you. And as my colleague mentioned, all my slides include the word thank you, so it won't be enough of thank yous to all of you. And I also want to mention the team of European Social Fund, which made the good atmosphere for us to act. And quite a lot of people are invisible, but you are talking to them on the phone, and you are sending your requests for payments. So our team was busy to make it possible for funds to reach you, and the team is always capable of keep you in the mood and strengthen you. So thank all of you that you are supporters of our program and its contents, and that we can agree on everything. And now the greatest thank you is from me personally, because it's my team, my heart. These are the people who contributed in one way or another to the contents of the program and implementation of the different activities areas. I won't have enough words of thank you, how much you've done, and I really encourage to believe in the good things, because without you, I wouldn't be here and the program wouldn't have existed. So thank you very much. And as I mentioned, I'm not finished, but But our community, which is sometimes young, sometimes naive, inexperienced, and not understanding everything, but you took us, you didn't push us away, and we came to this day and what we've done. And I will quote my colleague that the future of our education never seemed as bright as it seems today. So thank you very much. Me and Judita, we have one joint
question
question.
which I always ask her, and we both know the answer to it. The question that I will ask to her, but I actually asked it to you as well. Each of you answer this question in your heart. For whom was project of Millennium Schools most beneficial? Wrong question. For whom it brought the biggest benefit? My answer was not very modest. I answered, it was for me. It was me. I know it's not very honest to invest so many millions of the state into one person, but you know, you can assess accomplishments only from your own perspective and those changes too. In myself, I see lots of benefit, but also see it in you and in pupils who spoke today and in other schools. It's hard to encompass everything. That's why I can speak only on myself. I feel as a good example of yours, after traveling for so many years with you, I also feel like I want to improve myself to be better and better. Thank you all. And since this meeting of ours, it's like a gathering of immediate family. It was started by Vaida Lukošiūtė, who is the head of Deaf People's Society and a lecturer. I would like to invite her also to finish this event, this day which is coming to an end. And her presentation says not to hear does not equal not to be able. You know, I'm getting lost for words and confusing them. It's out of happiness. My apologies, I'm no expert of sign language, therefore I won't be able to interpret. Unless the speaker comes forward. Oh, there she is. Hello. I'm delighted to have such an opportunity to start and open and close the event. Today there were lots of contemplation, and I'm thinking, what should I be talking about with you today? I did not prepare any slides. I have a story of a life, and I would like to share it with you. Indeed, there were many topics about inclusive education, about good example. Truly, we can rejoice that we don't stop. We are going forward. We have good results. I myself was born in times when nobody spoke about accessibility. There were no topics about various disability types. I was born in 1990. In time, I was born with a hearing. That's why I am bilingual. I speak Lithuanian language and Lithuanian Sign Language. I was born with a hearing in a small town, in a village actually. And I was just like all other children. I started attending education institution, kindergarten, everything seemed fine, normal. But then the life happened and I lost my hearing. I lost my hearing when I was 3 years old. I went deaf. At first, I didn't understand it at first. I wasn't able to name it that something is wrong with me. It seemed like everything is normal. It happened in kindergarten. And I remember one situation at the kindergarten. I was sitting with other children. Children were chatting, and one girl, a friend of mine, she told me, Vaida, the teacher keeps calling and calling you. And then I turned and I realized that I didn't hear the calling. I stood up and walked to the attendant, to the teacher, and the closer I was approaching her, the louder, the clearer I heard my name. I realized that the distance, I realized at what distance I'm not able to hear, and the distance from which I'm able to hear. But later, everything was okay. I felt the same, like always, only my environment changed. Family, community in the kindergarten, they felt it, even though to me it felt okay, all right. Then I started attending school. In primary classes, then I sensed the difference very clearly. Others felt that I am different, that I'm not like others. But nobody knew and didn't have any skills how to work with a child who has such disability so he or she could feel equal to others. Nobody talked about deafness or poor hearing, about sign language, and nobody knew how to behave in such situation. It was a village, and I ended up in such situation like mine was the first in that village. As an example, I can tell you about a Lithuanian language class. I needed to write what teacher dictated, and teacher would always, she knew that I had poor hearing, so when there was a dictation, she would invite me to sit at the front desk, even though I wasn't sitting every lesson at the front desk, because I was feeling not very well. Children were looking at me, poking me, lynching me. I didn't like that, but when it was necessary to write a dictation, I didn't resist it. The very beginning, at the beginning, everything was fine. Teacher would stand in front of me. I was looking at her lips. I heard what she said. I would write the first sentence, and after that, teacher, when dictating a dictation, would walk to the center of the class, would walk to water the flowers, and then I wouldn't be able to hear anything and wasn't able to continue to write the dictation. When teacher would remember the time at the front desk, when she would realize I don't hear her, she would get back to me, to the front of the class, and then I would continue to write the dictation. How my dictation would look on the page, it was first sentence empty, blank space, and the last sentence, and in between there was a flower drawing or something else. Because in the meantime, while she walked away, I wasn't able to hear her dictation. Later, a time came when I started wearing a hearing device at a bit older age, maybe when I was 11 or 10 years of age. But until that time, I had no hearing aid. Back then, I was even more visible as a difference. Children started lynching me. And then I also felt myself, realized that I'm different. And I saw that other guys don't wear hearing aids, and it was questioned to me, why should I wear a hearing aid? And in those times, hearing aids were really not very good looking, big in size and clearly visible. So then for me it was really unpleasant, sad. I felt bad just because others were perceiving me differently, looking at me in a different way. As time passed, my family learned that there's an institution for educating deaf people in Kaunas city. Then I moved there. You can't imagine what a feeling it was back in the day. I remember the first week at that school, I wasn't able to understand where I am, where I ended up at.
12 metų iki to
For 12 years
aš tokių
prior to
žmonių
that,
nemačiau.
I haven't seen
Niekada
such
nebuvau
people.
sutikusi
I've never
ir
met
niekada
them.
nebūčiau pagalvojusi,
And
kad
would have
yra
never
tokių
thought
pat žmonių kaip aš, kurčiųjų,
that there are people just
neprigirdinčiųjų,
like me
ir kad
who
jie moka
are deaf
gestų
or who
kalbą ir
have poor hearing,
tarpusavyje
that we know
komunikuoja.
sign
Prisimenu
language and they
situaciją, kai
communicate with each other using that language.
nežinojau, kaip
I
reikia
remembered a
naudoti
situation
rankas,
when I didn't know
bendrauti
how to
gestų
use
kalba,
my
kaip ją
hands, how to
išmokti.
communicate in
Nesupratau, kaip jie vienas kitą
gesture language,
supranta.
sign language. I couldn't realize how they
Tai
understand
galiu
each
pasakyti,
other.
kosmosas buvo man.
It was like popping out into
O
open
jiems aš
space.
buvau taip pat tokia keista,
And
kitokia.
for them,
Aš
I
buvau
was also
neprigirdinti,
a
gerai
weirdo,
kalbėjau.
different. My
Nors
hearing was poor. I
mokykloje
wasn't
taip pat
completely
buvo
deaf. I spoke
neprigirdinčiųjų,
clearly.
jie mokėjo gestų kalbą,
In
ko aš
school were
nemokėjau.
also
Ir
guys
mes
who had poor
skiriamės vieni nuo
hearing,
kitų.
but they knew sign language, but I
Po
didn't.
truputį laikui bėgant,
But
aš
slowly, as
prisitaikiau
time
prie
passed by,
aplinkos, jie prie
I
manęs.
adapted to the environment.
Ir
They
kai tai
adapted
įvyko,
to
aš tada
me.
supratau,
And when it
kad
happened,
aš nesu kitokia.
I
Aš
realized
lygiai
that
tokia pat
I'm
kaip ir
not
visi kiti.
different. I'm just like all
Tiesiog
others.
man reikia aplinkos
I
tinkamos,
just need an
kur
environment
man
suitable
galbūt pasakytų,
where
mane padrasintų ir pasakytų,
I
kad
would
aš
be
esu
encouraged,
tokia
where
pati kaip ir
somebody would tell me
kiti ir
that
aš
I'm
galiu
just
lygiai
like
tą patį
all
kaip ir
others,
kiti.
that I
Ir ką
can
aš
do the same
supratau, kai
things
aš
that others
mokiausi
do.
šioj
And what I
ugdymo
realized
įstaigoj,
when
kad
I
aš
was
turiu draugų,
attending that educational institution,
kad
I
aš
understood
galiu
that I have
bendrauti,
friends. I understood that I can
kad aš galiu
communicate.
būti suprasta,
I understood that I can be
kad aš turiu
understood,
saugią aplinką.
that I have safe environment.
Bet liko toks
But there was
vidinis
some internal
žinojimas, kad vat,
knowing left
na,
that,
man
well,
trūko tos kalbos, aš norėjau bendrauti su
I lacked that sign
suaugusiais,
language. I
dėl
wanted to
to aš
communicate with
daug bendravau ir
adults.
su mokytojais ir
I
kalbėdavau
communicated
su
a
jais
lot with
šnekamąja
teachers and I
kalba.
spoke with them in spoken language, not sign
Bet
language.
kurčiųjų įstaigoje galiu
But
pasakyti, kad
in
aš
institution
atradau
for the deaf,
save.
I can tell you that I discovered myself.
Klasės
I found myself.
mažos, ten
The
yra daug
classrooms are
mokinių,
small.
visi
There's
sėdėdavom ratu.
a little amount of students. We used to sit in a circle.
Kaip yra dabar ir
How
kaip
it is now,
buvo laikais, kai
and
aš
how it was
mokiausi. Tai
back in
mano
the day when I
laikais
was
mokytojai
studying. In my
nemokėjo
times,
gestų kalbos
teachers
ir
didn't know
dažniausiai
sign
mes
language,
visi
and most
stengiamės
often
prisitaikyti prie
all of us
mokytojo.
tried to adapt
Ir,
to the
ir žinoma, ir
teacher.
mokytojai stengiasi,
Of course,
bet
teachers
tai
also
vyko
were
labai
trying
lėtai,
hard,
aiškiai
but it was
artikuliuodavo,
happening very slowly. They were
užrašydavo,
articulating
reikėdavo
very clearly.
papildomai
They
tos
would write
informacijos.
it down, this information, if it was necessary to do
Ir
that.
aš pajutau,
And
kad
I sensed
nors man
that
atrodė, kad viskas
even though
atrodo
it
buvo
seemed
gerai,
to me
aš
that
mokiausi
everything was good,
puikiai, visi dalykai
fine.
man
I
sekėsi
had
gerai,
good grades, all
tiek
subjects.
lietuvių, tiek matematika,
I was successful
istorija.
with all
Ir
subjects, Lithuanian
dažniausiai
language, mathematics, history.
mokytojai pastebėdavo, jeigu
And most
vaikas
often teachers would
gabus, tuomet duodavo
notice
dar
if
papildomų
child is
darbų, kad
talented, then they
galėtų
would give extra
lavintis
homework,
ir
extra
tobulėti.
work to do, so child would improve, will become
Kai
even
aš
better.
toj mokykloje pritapau
And
ir
when
jaučiausi labai
I
gerai,
blended
tuomet
in
mane
that school, I
pradėjo
felt
kalbinti
good.
pereiti į bendrojo
Then
lavinimo
they
mokyklą.
tried to convince me to move to
Tada
general
labai
school, general
nusivyliau
education.
ir
I
blogai
felt really
jaučiausi, kad
disappointed. I
mane
felt really
manęs
bad
prašo pereiti ten
that
ir
I am
ir
asked to go
mintys buvo
there.
tokios.
My
Kodėl
thoughts were
dabar
like
aš
this:
ten
why
turiu
now?
eiti, kodėl
Why do I have to
turiu
go
su tuo
there now? Why I
ištikimą,
have to come
kai jau
back there
atradau
again?
save
When I feel like I've
ir radau
found
savo
myself
aplinką,
here,
kur
I
aš
found my
gerai
environment
jaučiuosi,
where I
kur
feel
turiu
good,
draugų
where I
ir
have
man
friends,
nebereikia vėl išeiti.
and now I have to leave
Ir kilo
again.
vat tokių klausimų ir tas
These
momentas
questions
buvo
were
iš tiesų
spinning
labai
in my mind,
liūdnas.
and this moment, it was really sad one for me.
Kai perėjau į
When I
bendrojo
moved
lavinimo
to
mokyklą,
general education school,
tai automatiškai jau ten aš jau nebebuvau
in
ta
there,
pati
I
Vaida.
automatically wasn't the same Vaida girl.
Vėl sugrįžau į tą pačią
I
Vaidą,
returned to the
kuri
same
buvo
Vaida,
pradinėse klasėse,
a girl which was in
vėl
primary
pradėjau slėpti
classes.
save,
Again, I started hiding myself.
plaukus nešiodavau po
I,
laukais, kad
I,
nesimatytų
I
klausos
used
aparatų.
to walk with my hair
Mano
loose so that
balsas
hearing aid wouldn't be visible.
palyginus
My
švarus, kaip
voice
neprigirdinčio
was
žmogaus,
comparatively
ir
comparatively
sunkiai
clean
aplinka
as a
suprasdavo, kad
person
aš esu
who had poor
neprigirdinti.
hearing hearing environment could hardly notice that I had poor hearing. Today, you can understand that when listening to me because my voice pitch is dropping, but in the past, people were not able to distinguish or understand that I have poor hearing. So back in the day, I used to pretend. I was able to pretend that I have a good hearing, that I'm able to hear the same like all other pupils. And I would never tell anyone about my disability. I never expressed or told what needs do I have. Nobody knew that. Maybe some more apt pupils, more talented pupils were able to understand that, but they never asked me openly about it. And that beginning was difficult, complex. I felt disappointed, especially when I was told, that's it, when you will go to general school, you will have to repeat the same school year. And as an example, I finished 7th grade. After I went to general education school, I had to repeat the course to study in the 7th grade again. I was very angry. I couldn't understand why. Why do I have to repeat the school year? Why do I have to stay in the same grade, 7th grade, for the same year, 2 years in a row? Everything was fine. I was a capable, talented girl. I was able to study. I couldn't understand why I was forced to do that. I didn't want it. I felt ashamed. And it was like, I felt like when I went to school, I had to repeat 7th grade. I felt as if I'm inferior, falling behind 1 year from others. I agreed with this condition to go to general education school if I will be transferred to a higher grade, as it was supposed to be. That was the only condition I would accept. And this is how it happened. They accepted my terms and conditions, and my results were good. Then I understood what I've learned in this institution of deaf people. I understood that knowledge can be further used, and I can aim for higher results. But disappointment happened again. When I was transferred to general school, it was reported that it will be a 10-year school with 10 grades only. And again, it feels I changed numerous education institutions in life. I changed primary schools 3 times, primary classes in Kaunas city. In that switching institutions all the time, I disliked it very much. And I was very unhappy about the situation when I was told that I will have to change school again. It failed me. Then I was transferred to a gymnasium. In that school, where I studied till 10th grade, I started feeling myself. But when I had to move to gymnasium, then again was from the start. I had to put in a lot of effort. I had to adapt again, to get acquainted with new teachers, adapt to them, new children. It was difficult for me, complicated. And that situation about myself, about my hearing disability, in general education schools, I never told a soul. I never told it neither to children nor to teachers. Why? Because I wasn't feeling safe. And I recall when there were lessons, teachers would tell me, Vaida, why are you catching birds today? It was because I wasn't able to hear anything. I wasn't able to understand anything, but wasn't able to say why. When I graduated from gymnasium, with my own effort, and with a complimentary certificate. What is the resume summary of all this?
Graduated with distinction. I was always afraid not to be betrayed, written off.
Nes iš tiesų per gyvenimą daug buvo tokių patirčių, kai atsiranda vaikas, kuris negirdi.
In life there were many experiences when a child appears who is deaf or blind or any other disability. Any kind of disability in my time, it had an easier education program adapted to such children. I didn't like that. The easier the program,
tuo labiau matoma negalia.
the more disability is visible. Then it turns out the child is not able to hear, not able to understand, is distracted.
Kodėl, už ką?
Why? For what?
Tai vadinasi, kad aš esu silpna,
It means that I'm weak because I don't hear. Or maybe the answer is it lies with teachers, that teachers are not able to teach me. Maybe problem is with teachers. This is what I was resisting. I wanted all of us to be equal. I wanted us to have equal opportunities. When I graduated from school and was admitted to university, I had 3 university diplomas, 3 degrees. I graduated from vocational as well. I graduated vocational school after a master's degree. It was a very interesting situation, but this system functions very well. To sum it all up, I want to say that regardless whether person is deaf, they always for a poor hearing, but he or she can do it. Most important is to adapt the environment where a child could feel safe, understood, and would have possibility to communicate in Lithuanian Sign Language, to express himself, to express his or her needs, expectations. In the old times, even earlier, when I was born, the education of deaf people was very difficult. It was a hard time. The deaf people themselves in schools were studying by their own effort. And they was forbidden to communicate in sign language. An example, I study in school for deaf people, but communication in gesture language wouldn't be allowed for me. When it was seen that children communicate in gesture language, sign language, we would be hit with a liner and told not to use the sign language and told to look at the lips of a speaker. So this moment was really hard. And there are consequences of all this to stay in sign. Those who are able to hear, the hearing people, they can see the result, and us, the deaf ones, we see the consequences. Why is it so? Because we have different vision, different experiences, which is very important. We shouldn't compare children. We shouldn't compare people in general. I experienced this myself because deaf people are compared, people with poor hearing, and said that those who have poor hearing become achieve a lot, everything will be fine with them, they will find employment, etc. But talking about deaf person, we used to say it was difficult, it will be complicated. But why? Because one who has poor hearing, he or she is able to speak, but the deaf person also can speak, he or she knows sign language. So here, we should learn to accept the sign language, to understand that both languages, both Lithuanian language and sign language, they are equal value.
And in daily situations, in mundane situations, what I hear very often, and what I see very often, I now I'm completely deaf, but in the past I used to be able to hear. I had poor hearing already, and people used to say, "Vaida is able. You also can. You're also able." Vaida is carrying the hearing aid. You should also carry wear hearing aid.
Na tai. Ir kažkaip aš tuomet aš nesusivaldžiau. Patariau, kad nu, Zim. Carry. Gyvenime yra daug žmonių, kurie žmogų. Tai aplinka, mokykla ir tai, kaip mes priimam žmogų. Tai ką norėčiau dabar apibendrinti, visiems palinkėti. Yra kalbama.
When we are talking about inclusive education, first of all, let us think about the child. About child's genuine needs.
Galimybių yra labai daug.
Because there are multiple possibilities, opportunities, but do they work? We need to look how it really works in practice, and then if everything works fine and it's good, it's okay, then we can expect to have successful studies. Because community there, people face challenges when we talk about educational system. I strongly hope that all this project, future results will be such that children will be able to study not through, but with. What do I want to say is saying not through the sign language interpreter, but with pupil, teacher, and together with other kids. I would like to see such a result, and I wish to accomplish that in the future. And that this is how I'd like to finish. Thank you all.
Vaida tikriausiai nematė ir nepajuto.
Perhaps Vaida didn't see that, didn't sense it, but there was a gravely silence in the audience while she spoke. Perhaps this means that we had a mirror experience. We looked at ourselves. It's like facing our own conscience. How much empathy we have in ourselves towards other people. Question to Vaida, how can we develop that empathy so we would love and respect each other more? So we could find space for each other.
Visų pirma, labai svarbu yra švietimas.
First of all, education is very important. It's very important to talk on this topic in schools. To talk about the deaf people, about the sign language, about the blind people, about tactilics, touch, about autism, and all kinds of other disabilities. This has to be normal and not a taboo. When we know and we have lots of information about all those disabilities, we will accept that automatically, we will feel it, the empathy will be there. Thank you. Thank you, all of you. So this entire journey, our journey of today, has approached its peak. We had lots of emotions. Some of it was sad, some of it was joyful. There was some pressure on the consequences. We had lots of emotions, But the celebration is not a celebration if it doesn't end with a cake. So I would like to say that me and Judita, we baked it, but let's imagine that this is the cake of Judita and entire team. So let's go and celebrate with each other to see how happy you are about each other.